What is the actual correct way to pronounce Kansei?
Yeah, this is a good one.
Yes.
So it is Kansei.
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 Okay.
Like Jose Canseco.
Okay.
You know, like Kansei.
That's how I originally started saying
That
it.
is how you say it. We found that people, usually from the South or out of the States, put their own spin on it. So Kansei is a drifting entry maneuver. The Kansei flick. So it's got two meanings. You got an entry, a drifting entry maneuver, and also it's an engineering practice in Japan. It means thoughtfully designed with the customer's emotions in mind.
Let's see how you do under pressure. Yeah, I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy.
Welcome back to the #1 Drift Podcast on YouTube, presented by Injuku Racing!
It's hot.
Hope you liked the intro. That was at the Drift Mansion with Jason doing a burnout in his VL Commodore. If you haven't seen his episode, go check that one out. But this is the 100th episode, and today we've got quite a special guest, I would say.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm introduce yourself just a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I'm Chris Sempek, brand manager, wheel designer, engineer behind Kansei Wheels. And we've been doing it since 2018, and we have a lot of cool friends in common. So it's awesome to see us kind of link up at this point. But we're at a good spot with the brand, so it's fun to, hop on a pod, share what we've been up to, and kind of get into it because it's been a minute. We've told stories about our brand in the early days, but it's been a minute. So I'm looking forward to getting back out there.
A lot has happened between then, and I'm sure there was a lot that was missed in those too.
There was a lot
get talked about. So.
Yeah, we had a really interesting the brand, I should say, had a really interesting ramp up. So it was a crazy time, and then COVID was even crazier. So it's just been on a tear. But yeah, we're fans of the pod, and we're excited to be on it. And I'm stoked, and it's cool that the drift community is small enough that we have all these cool mutual connections, and even more and more. You just met Jason. We've been sponsoring him for years, and he's in Australia, but now he's here in the States, and he linked up with Scott, and then did the Drift Mansion, and all this cool stuff.
It's quite more of a smaller world than you expect it to be.
Yeah. And the internet helps too. The internet helps people link up.
I never expected to be able to just say Jason's one of my buddies now.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
But very cool though, because it's someone described it to me one time as just like a fraternity. Once you're in,
that's awesome.
Once you're in, every college has the same kind of fraternity, and if you go to another state and you see a dude wearing a shirt, you just know, you just give him the nod. You're oh yeah, we could vibe. So it's I always loved car vacationing, I'll call it, going to H2O in Ocean City. That's where I started. Going to First Class Fitment, because you could go all these different places, and sometimes a lot of your favorite friends will be there. Yeah. Or it'll just be new people that become friends because it's all the same thing. Right. So I don't know. I was never in a fraternity in college, but I can imagine it's going anywhere and having a secret, a connection.
Yeah. So I never even went to college, so I never even got the experience of that. Well. So. Well, anyways, but I'm sure we're going to get a lot deeper into that stuff.
Sure, it's been quite the journey.
Yeah, this is the 100th episode, so really appreciate you and Kansei for helping me come out and getting this episode sorted out. And, of course, thank you to Injuku for always making this stuff possible.
Injuku rocks.
Absolutely.
Yes, love those guys. They were our first big order back in the day.
No way.
Yeah, they saw us at SEMA, AK, shout out to Andrew. And they were like,
okay.
boom, here's an order. Like, we want a stocking order. We see the potential in this. We want to kick it off. And yeah, that was 2018. Don't think the wheels shipped until 2019. But in Juku, we definitely owe it big time to them because they are just I always looked up to them in like the drifting parts world. I mean, they're so ingrained in Florida and with BC and like all these cool projects they do. So
they've made their way around a lot.
I felt so good getting that email with all those parts ordered before we even had inventory. You know, like we just had at SEMA. We just had samples at SEMA 2018, and they came by. And I'm from the East Coast, so like I always root for like East Coast brands because you know, people still think like, well, still the West Coast is like the king of like a lot of car culture brands and Gretty, Falcon, honestly. Tire, like Formula Drift here. But like the East Coast is like, I'm from there, so it always has my heart. And it's like we're kind of like the underdog. We don't, especially when I was coming up in the car scene, we didn't always get the cool stuff. Yeah, you know, like we didn't always like the cool shows didn't come my way, and we'd be driving to like DC to see something or maybe Virginia Beach or something. Yeah.
Just as simple as like when I came out here, I was driving down. I don't even remember what road it was, but very packed road down by the beach. And like it's insane. You can't come to California without having a good bit of money to just spend because it's there's so much here.
There's a lot
so many
here.
Options for everything, not even just cars and
food,
drifting, but like
entertainment, the beaches.
Insane.
It's very cool. Yeah. So I've only been out here maybe 10 years now. Okay. I came here straight from Richmond, Virginia, where there wasn't a whole lot popping off automotively. But I did kind of dabble working at Fortune Auto, you know, the coilover company. Yeah. For me, you know, shout out to Fortune. They kind of gave me my first little start. Terry at Fortune, you know, my first little start at designing and tinkering with automotive parts and CAD. And they're 10 minutes from my parents' house back in Virginia. So, nice. Just cruised down the street. All my buddies kept their cars there. We did car hangouts there and ripped the ruckus around the parking lot for fun, little time trials and stuff. I don't know if Terry even knows that we did that, but so that was like my, you know, living in Virginia. It was very cool state, very, you know, probably a lot like Tennessee, green hills, suburbs, all the shopping centers you'd want. But automotively, there wasn't a whole lot popping off, so I was always trying to like find a way to use my passion and like what I went to school for is like making a job out of design and automotive stuff. So that's what kind of led me out to here. But it's been a long journey. So
that's awesome.
Took some twists and turns, but
some hard work.
I stuck with it. So here we are today. I'm sitting talking to you in California, you know, of all places. But
on both parts for me, I guess.
Well, I want to end up here too because this is where like the industry was happening, you know. Like, this is like where parts are getting made or imported, and you know, Virginia just didn't really have anything like that. They do now. Like it's still a great car scene there, especially around Virginia Beach and with the military influence and all those guys had like JDM cars before they were overpriced and overhyped, but those guys were bringing them back from their deployments. And so we had some cool stuff going on, and it was still a small town feeling, but at the same time, I was like, I got to get out of here because I want to see where, you know. I want
to see the world a little bit more.
Yeah, I want to see where stuff's really going down because I grew up watching Jesse James on Discovery Channel.
Okay, yeah.
He would do like Monster Garage, and he would do stuff like West Coast Choppers. I'm like, man, stuff is happening in California. So that's like part of also why I came out here.
Yeah, just big influence.
Huge, massive influence because I wanted to create and I wanted to work in my automotive passion, and I just knew like coming out here was the move. But a lot has changed since then. But still, I'm still happy that I did it. So, we've been doing Kansei out of here now since 2018. So I think we're coming up on our 7th year, and it's been a wild ride, man.
Oh yeah. Looking from the outside, you don't expect it to be as new, I guess. But I guess speaking of Kansei though, the giveaways. So
Yeah.
I want to announce for the 100th episode, before we get too deep, because I know this is going to be a good podcast.
Sure. Yeah. I'm all over the place already. So
yeah, me too. Giveaways though for 100th episode. We're gonna be doing, I guess it would be 3 different winners. So for the first one is gonna be Kansei Wheels, a whole set, correct?
Yeah, full set with
Sweet.
Caps. Maybe we'll do some merch in there too.
Nice.
Get some banners, get you decked out. But the flow form wheels though, we can't do the forged wheels.
Right.
On giveaway. But yeah, of course, yeah.
Awesome.
Someone should be really stoked out to get some wheels from us. So.
Hell yeah! So that'll get one of you guys styling on some Kanseis.
Yeah.
And then of course I'm actually gonna be giving away some merch and stickers with every giveaway, just so you guys can have some of the podcast merch. But we'll also be doing Injuku giveaway gift card, and then we'll also be doing a BC Racing coilovers giveaway too. So
that's huge.
Yeah. I know a lot of you guys, that's probably the one thing you really need on your drift car right now.
Yeah.
Especially
But they can't win both though. Wheels and coilovers can't go to the same person. Right?
No.
Okay.
No,
So.
no, it's all going to be separate.
All right.
So the way you only get one choice, but the way you get to enter is on YouTube. So if you're on Spotify, jump over to YouTube real quick, and go into the comment section, type in hashtag whichever company you want to be entered into. So whether it's Kansei, BC, or Injuku, write that in the hashtag in the comments. Like the video, and of course subscribe. You got to be doing that stuff. I don't know why you're not
Keep up with it. Yeah.
subscribed already if you're sitting here watching.
Yeah. Help the channel.
Yeah, so yeah, if you want to get entered into the giveaways, that's how you do it. I will probably make a post on Instagram, whether that's stories or whatever, to announce that as well. So everyone has a good chance. But yeah, I really appreciate all of you guys for watching and supporting for so long. And of course, again, Injuku, Kansei, and all the companies that have supported this far. So yeah, I guess we already covered the introduction of you. But this one was actually really hard to study for.
Oh.
Because I study for a lot of guests.
Sure.
And you've lived quite a sick life.
Oh, thank you.
Especially on social media. The way you present it, it's very interesting. So I was trying. This could have been a 5-hour-long podcast if I really wanted to put every question in there that I wanted to. But
I'm ready for those Nardwuar questions. That's what I'm ready
all right.
for.
Yeah. I have 3 right off the jump.
Oh, Nardwuar questions right off the bat. Oh shit.
Well, what's your definition of that? What's Nardwuar?
You know Nardwuar?
Maybe
he's an interviewer. He's like from Canada. He's super wacky, and he's like, "You cheated on math, didn't you?"
Oh.
In the 7th grade. And people are like,
"Oh my god!"
There's literally whole compilations of people reacting to like Tyler the Creator or Pharrell or like massive people are like, how'd you know my babysitter's name?
Yeah.
Like, how'd you know my?
Oh my god.
Yeah. Like,
that just unlocked a memory I didn't know I had.
So I didn't know
funny.
if you did some deep diving and you were gonna pull out some like, what's your 3rd grade teacher's name?
I guess there's some in here that you could consider that. But they're not that quite in depth.
Yeah. But you did some research. You checked your socials.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every guest, I always try and at least do some research so I know what I'm getting into.
Yeah.
Just off the bat, we'll knock out a couple like decent questions.
Oh, please,
For one, I get this one all the time. What is the actual correct way to pronounce Kansei?
Yeah, this is a good one.
Yes.
So it is Kansei.
Kansei. Okay.
Like Jose Canseco.
Okay.
You know, like Kansei.
That's how I originally started saying it.
That is how you say it.
And then someone told me Kansei, or I heard it from like Luke Fink or someone, whoever it was.
Well, he's got an accent. You know? We found that people usually from the South or out of the States put their own spin on it. You know?
Gotcha.
So, but no, it's always been Kansei. It's a Japanese word. That is how it is spelled. There is a part of Japan called Kansei with an AI.
What does it stand for?
So
in
Kansei
Japan?
is a drifting entry maneuver. The Kansei flick. So it's got 2 meanings. You got a drifting entry maneuver.
Okay.
And also it's an engineering practice in Japan. It means thoughtfully designed with the customer's emotions in mind. So it's a whole principle, practice of engineering.
So does that word get used in marketing a lot more than just?
I'm not sure because it
over there.
It's I don't know. I'd flat out I don't know, but I do feel like probably in Japan they don't tote that as like, you know, like you just live it. You just like practice it. You just are it. So when we were looking up names for the brand, we had a few, you know, other ideas in mind. We almost named it Tandem. We almost named it Aspect. We almost named it a few other things. But it wasn't until we sat down and looked at, you know, you played the name game, and they always sound whack when you're just saying them, you know?
Yeah.
And you're like, no, like who would sit down and say Gretty? Like, no, we're not doing Gretty. Come on, like what? No, like. So they all sound weird when you're first sitting down. So anyone that's out there trying to like start their own brand and you're trying to play the name
against
game,
Gretty, by the way.
No, nothing against Gretty. But words sound weird when you're just repeating them and going over the list.
Yeah.
You're asking people's opinion, and it's like, what do you think of this? And they're like, I don't know. But anyway, so we came up with Kansei, and it fit really well because I'm really into engineering and design and that whole philosophy. Like, yeah, like the customer's needs and how they feel about the product should be in mind when you're coming up with something. You know, I think that's very cool. You don't want to just make a widget to make a buck. Like, you should be developing something that's really thought out and should be at service to who's ever using it and you know, things like that. So it fit really well. So it's kind of got a dual meaning, but definitely Kansei. So that's how we say it here. But if you come up to us at a show, I was
right the whole time.
You were right. If you come up to us at a show or you see us at a booth or something, you can say it however you want because it's almost ended up being like a cool marketing tool. People are like, how do you say it? How do you say it? Like
keep it a secret.
Yeah,
for
like
a while,
if it was just, if the wheel company name was just Tandem,
true,
you just end at that, you know. But the fact that it is a little weird to say, a little hard, you know, it kind of sticks with you a little longer. Kind of stands out, you know, and.
Well, I hate to burst the bubble on that whole conspiracy.
Hey, it's fine. keep saying it however you want.
It'll still fly over people's heads either way.
It will. It will keep correcting people. We honestly just stop correcting people. We always kind of roll with it.
Just say whatever you want.
Yeah, just say whatever you want, but enjoy the wheels, and you know we'll be here for you. But yeah, definitely.
Other people start the argument on Twitter or X and stuff now.
And some of our sponsors drivers that like are always saying our name, I definitely try and correct them because I'm like, dude, like you're representing our brand, like. You gotta say it right, you know. Like we're not gonna make you, you know, be a sign spinner on the side of the road, but at least we're gonna make you, you know, say the name right. So at least it gets out there that way too. But it's gonna keep happening. But I had a feeling that question was coming because we get that all the time. And in the beginning, I was so like, but now I'm just.
That was the first question that popped in my head. Yeah, of course. Like that's what every single because they understand that I work with Kansei myself on the podcast.
Yeah, you do.
So they're always very quick to ask me, especially at events too, because the chrome Neos on that car stands out.
That was cool.
So crazy. Yeah. So people will come up to me and talk to me, and that's the first question they ask every time they're talking about those wheels.
Yeah.
How do you even say it? Like, what's the correct way? I'm like, dude, I'm trying to figure it out myself, man. I don't know.
It's a conversation starter.
Yeah, exactly.
Then it'll stick with you because stuff sticks with you when you get it wrong.
Yeah.
You know, that's the best way to learn is just by messing it up. So kind of in a weird way, it's like a cool way to just stick with you a little bit longer. And
marketing works in weird ways, man.
It is a weird. It was not that like we didn't think the mispronunciation thing would go this far, but you know, it's helped us stand out.
Good.
So yeah, I'll never disrespect anyone who just wants to say it however they want. So yeah.
Awesome.
Man.
Awesome. All right. Well, in your personal opinion, what is your least favorite and most favorite Kansei wheel that you've designed?
Shoot. Oh man.
Yeah.
That's tough. You know, I'm gonna say my least favorite, and no beef with anyone out there that bought this wheel and they love them and everything.
Of course.
But one of my least, I wish we would have spent a little more time on it, was the Corsa wheel.
Okay.
It's a lesser known wheel of ours. It didn't really take off as much as we hoped. And the first silver ones we brought in really didn't look that good, so we discontinued the silver. But the Corsa, it was just a little too plain, a little too safe. Like
throw a picture up on the screen.
Yeah, throw it up. If you love it, I mean, it is a cool looking wheel. It's mellow. It's got all the same fitments that we have. Probably has one of our best brake clearances. It's our lightest wheel. Yeah, the spokes just really bend out, and it's got a ton of brake clearance. But at the same time, like, you know, Sometimes I look at it and I'm like, man, it looks like a little too much like the VSTX. I think that's the wheel I'm thinking of. It's like a work wheel. Like I think we could have, in the end, end up looking just too much like that, and only in certain offsets, like in the deeper dish ones. I was like, but that wheel probably could have gotten a little bit more love, and maybe it's like some better finish choices.
Okay.
But yeah,
you
that
said
one.
Design process. Like, what would you design
man.
differently on that one then?
Maybe less spokes. Can make it a little bit lighter.
Okay.
I think we should have really tried hard to simplify. It already is a simple wheel, but I think we could have like lightened it up a little bit more and really touted it as like, here's our lineup: tandem, chunky 6-spoke, KNP, basic 5-spoke, Corsa. I think people were really looking, well, reasonably they should look for like a really light wheel.
Yeah.
And we're not the light wheel brand. We never like tried to be. We never,
of course.
We're a drift wheel brand, so you don't want a light drift wheel necessarily to a point. Yeah. Because we want to be durable, and we can get into all the little features we sneak in to make it durable. But the Corsa, I think it could have been lighter. It could have been like, here's 2 drift wheels, and here's like our more sporty wheel. Like it could have been just a little more rounded out. So
more marketed as the lightweight.
Yeah, as the light wheel. But this is all hindsight, you know. When we launched it, we were stoked. We were like, oh shoot, you got the 5-spoke, you got the 6-spoke concave, and you got the mesh with a lip. You know? Like when we first launched with 3 styles, that was it. Yep.
That's kind of how my old wheels that I used to run were those carbine design, which is a dead company now, but that was a big problem with theirs, is that they were really cheap and they were pretty lightweight and somewhat durable. I mean, they were cheap wheels, so you could get a set for like $500 or so.
Sure.
We were running those, but the same thing. If depending on the offset you got, they looked terrible.
Yeah, it's tough.
So
it's tough.
I kind of agree with that. Where it's not the best wheel, but you can still market it pretty well. Yeah. It's not the prettiest wheel.
The Corvette guys love it. Like it's just a classic mesh. Like, but also at the same time, it didn't really help us stand out. Like, I think if we would have came out with 3 first wheels again, one of the first 3 shouldn't have been so safe. Like it shouldn't have been that mellow. Like because the tandem, very explicit nod to the R34 and grenade wheel, that was like very intentional. That was like, hey, we're bringing this back, better specs, crazy concavity, actually be able to clear, Z32, R32 calipers. That was very important. That was like a very deliberate, like, no, we are doing this wheel. And then the KNP, which has an even longer story behind it.
Really?
Yeah, much longer, dude. Okay. So we can jump into the lineup breakdown real quick, which is, so the KNP, when I first started designing wheels in college, I had some pirated CAD software. I was in college for mechanical engineering at VCU. Okay. Shout out to VCU Rams. Was very passionate about cars. Was trying to fuse my hobby and my future together. I was like, shoot, I had watched some videos on like CCWs and like wheels getting cut out, and I was like, shoot, I got the CAD software. Yeah, I could literally make the wheel to spec, give the file to a machine shop, and they would cut it
for you. Yeah,
and then I bought lips and barrels from CCW at full list price, $225 a piece, inner and outer. Yep. $2,000 before shipping, retail. So I figured I could buy lips and barrels, and I can make centers and put them together myself. Yeah. How hard are you gonna be? I'll start a wheel company this way. You know. So that's what I did. I had some friends, all over Virginia, and I had a little Instagram page going where I kind of post up like screenshots of what I was working on. I was just blatantly copying 3-piece like vintage Japanese wheels just for fun, just to like model them, to see if I could weds, crons, and stuff like that. I was like, let me just try and like copy them, see if I can like do this thing. They were probably not even to scale. They were probably like 13-inch wheels with like a Porsche bolt pattern. Like nice. I didn't know anything about like the specs really, but I was doing it, and I had my little Instagram up, and I was like, look, I'm I was faking it till you make it. You know, like I'm a design studio. You know, you come to me with your ideas, we're gonna get it done. You know, like I'll never forget. I saw like some company was making 3-piece ruckus wheels for like ruckuses. The stretched ruckuses were really big back in the day, and I was like, we're offering that now. We never even touched. I don't own a ruckus. I never even took one apart. I don't know what the wheel looked like. I was like, but when you're young and like ambitious and like you think you just know the world.
Just throwing stuff at the wall.
Yeah. And I already had a little following for my car photography because I was so into cars that I was just shooting in and around shows and stuff. And that was like my kind of creative outlet to like just be involved with the car scene, go to as many events as I could.
Yeah.
I had built cars myself that I was taking to these shows and was shooting other people's stuff and would shoot for like little magazines and online stuff. So that was kind of like my creative outlet. And then I was like, yeah, but I really want my outlet to be making wheels because how cool to like control the shape of something that's like functional for a car, but also cosmetic.
Yeah.
You know, literally, like you always say, shoes for people is like wheels for cars.
It's one big piece of a build, so.
It is, and it's fun. Like you don't want to design something that no one's ever going to see. You know, I mean, shout out to the people that are designing angle kits and like really cool hidden components. Yeah. But I was like, man, I want to do something with some style in it, you know? So anyway, I had a little Instagram. I was posting up stuff that I was working on, you know? Yeah. Again, fake it till you make it.
Weren't you naming them Sempek?
Yes. Yeah. So I used my last name because it was unique, and I downloaded the cool free font, and it looked really cool in this font. I had a sticker on the back of my IS300 to promote my business, you know? And I had no customers. I just had an Instagram page. Literally, fake it till you make it. But I treated it like it was real. I was like, any day now, someone's gonna hit me up and need a commission, you know. So I'll be ready.
Absolutely.
I was not ready, but I'll be ready. You know, I don't have a CNC machine. All I had was pirated CAD software. That's all I had, you know.
That's so rough.
But I was posting stuff up, and then someone hit me up.
No, who was it?
Yeah, Steven Noop. Shout out to Steven from Sumo Speed, Ultra Speed, Sumo Speed in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
Car Club in Virginia Beach, big into drift and show car stuff. Shout out to Nick at Sumo Speed. But he hit me up and he was like, hey man, I've seen your page and I've seen you at a few events taking pictures. Do you think you could, I got an idea for a wheel. Do you think we could make it come to life? And
no shit.
What do you do when you're fake? You say yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Shoot, let me clear my schedule. Problem. Yeah, I got so many gigs right now. Yeah, let me squeeze you in next week, you know. Yep. Just call my assistant. It's just me with like a clothespin on my hello, you know. So long story short, he wanted an OZ Futura. He loved OZ Futuras. Okay. We couldn't do the cover cap that they're famous for.
Yeah.
But he loved the rounded edges on the 5-spoke. So it wasn't like a sharp angular wheel. It's very soft edges on all the window openings. And so we couldn't do the cover cap on it, which he wanted, but he wanted them to be concave, not convex, because OZ Futura definitely breaks backward. So I wanted to be a concave 5-spoke, rounded edges, and we did a Volk like TE style lug bowl, we call it. So where the lug nuts are, we just did like a nice big radius there, and also softened the top. And we called it the Noop wheel. So we named it after Steven. He had a green S14 at the time with the LS swap. I thought it was the most renegade thing ever to open up a 240 and see red Corvette valve covers in there. I was like, this is like, it blew my mind. I was like, this is like so anti. This is like,
what year
rock,
was this?
You know? 2009, 2010.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Maybe, yeah. I was just blown away that someone could even do this, you know. And he had, anyway, Steven did a ton of work to his green 240. It was like a local legend. He had he did blended side skirts and front and rear bumpers, like combining stuff, and had it all fiberglassed out.
Any chance you got a picture of this car?
I have a picture in my office. Yeah,
no way.
I actually shot it for USDM Freaks, a Japanese magazine, too. Dude. So it all came full circle. But I got a bunch of pictures. We could throw them up on the screen. But anyone that's from Virginia Beach, especially from back in that time will instantly recognize it because Steven was like a, you know, just awesome dude. Still is, you know. But yeah, he really helped me get started, and I charged him for the wheels. I forgot the amount, but I probably went definitely negative on everything that was involved. But yeah, I had the centers cut at a machine shop, and I got them back, and I just put them together in the back of Fortune Auto in their workshop. And the centers didn't fit in the hoops, and we had to get this dry ice from Kroger, and we had to, we got like these little butane, we got these little butane blowtorches. We're trying to heat up the lips, and we didn't know what we were doing, dude. We were scratching all the lips up, trying to put them together, and we polished them back out. I went to the Tractor Supply store to get metal polish. Like there was no there was no resources. There's no wheel repair stores or anything. I was just making all this up. So we got them all together, and he was going to debut them at a drift event at I think it was called Blackwater at the time. Like, I don't know if you ever heard like those sketchy stories about like a training facility on the East Coast. It was like they were taking weird money to help train soldiers from other countries. Now it's called X2 or something, but it's in Moyock, North Carolina. But they had a defensive driving course there to train like people in SUVs and cop cars, like in private security, how to like drive evasively. And I believe the story goes that one of the maintenance guys there was a car guy. And you guys can correct me in the comments, but we were able to do track days there, like once or maybe once every 2 months on like the defensive driving course. Nice. And it was a course. It was like a track. It was,
like a road course.
Yeah, it was like a road course. Yeah, and they had like a smaller one and a bigger one, giant gravel parking lots where you could wrench. And I remember I brought the wheels. I gave the wheels to Steven. He was going to debut them at this event. So our first outing on these custom 3-piece wheels was going to be drifting. And man, I think I slept 1 hour that night. I was sweating bullets. God. I was like, man, I don't know how this is going to go. Like this is nuts. But I have my own company, I have my own brand. So got the camera, we had to be there super early. So we left, at a ridiculous hour. I rode in the truck with Terry from Fortune and Matt from Fortune at the time. We cruised down there, and the wheels did great. I was like, man, I think I might be.
I'm onto something.
Yeah, I think I might be onto something. But they were 3-piece. They were ungodly expensive, just like horribly, because you're paying retail for everything, and putting them together myself, it was just a nightmare. But anyway, that wheel design, we did it once. Nothing ever happened after that, sadly, because I took a job up in New York City. Gotcha. So I was trying to do the wheel thing. It wasn't really popping off. Mm-hmm. So I did one more set for Terry at Fortune, the owner. He was like, "Can you make me like a LMs but with better specs?" So we did like an LM type of style, 3-piece. Got them powder coated. Did it all legit. I learned a lot from Steven, so we put that together. We shot it. It was super cool. I had a little website at the time. But, so I was thinking this is going to be my next big thing, but I really never, worked in the wheel industry. Yeah. So I didn't really know, the full spectrum of things. I thought I knew, because when you're young, you think you know. But I was like, I'm shooting. I'm making a website. I'm engineering the wheels. I'm putting them together.
I'm doing all those things.
Yeah, one man shows this is how Nike started. Out of the trunk of his car at track meets. This is how it happens. And then, it wasn't really popping off after that. Yeah. And I had to get an internship for school, and I had to work with that. But I was still going to a lot of car shows and stuff. But seeing how the first 2 sets were just so cumbersome, I was like, oh god, 3-piece is just a nightmare. So, but yeah, so I ended up going off to New York, which we can hit on a little bit later. But yeah, so long story short, I didn't do anything with the K&P for quite some time. So it always just had on the back burner. Yeah. And I was like, man, I got to bring that back one day. I got to bring that back. Absolutely. Because it's just and I was watching other brands develop over it was like 10 plus years I had this idea, and that was in like college days, and now I'm 37. So there was, we started Kansei when I was like 31. So there was like quite the gap in my resume right there for the wheel creation stuff. So I kept that KMP in my back pocket,
ready to go whenever.
And I was watching other brands come out. A lot of small brands developed in the 2010s. Like you saw a lot of 1552 came up, Rotiform came up, Cosmos was doing their thing. Clutch Wheels with a K.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
them. They were big with the Hondas and the four lugs. So I was watching smaller brands, and I was like, oh shoot, this new brand, they're gonna do the 5-spoke. I just know it. Yeah. It's so simple. I know no one was doing it. People would do 5-spokes. People would do something kind of close. Yeah. You'd see weird 3-piece versions come up, but nobody did it the way I wanted. It had to be a concave all the time. All offsets had to be concave, at least a little bit.
Yep.
Rounded corners, this kind of spoke shape, and a step lip. It had to be that. And I was like, no one's doing it. No one's doing it.
Capitalize.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I just know someone's going to do it. So the KMP has the longest story, but that's really what it all started as, is like this idea that I had a long, long time ago for a scene that I was, very involved with at the time in Virginia. I was like just living it, and I was like, someone's got to make a 5-spoke concave wheel that could fit on everything and have like just a really clean look, and no one did it.
That's wild. Yeah, nobody even.
People have come close. And say what you want, say what you want about, it looks like this, it looks like that.
Yeah.
Hear the story out. I think it's a pretty cool story.
Absolutely.
It's rooted so deep in Virginia Beach and the car culture, and Stevens and OG from there, and Sumo Speed is OG. So I think there's a lot to appreciate about the KNP that people should know about, because it just has such a cool. And then whenever I get the chance to tell that story, I just love saying, because it's just such a clean wheel, man. I'm happy to see where it's ending up now, as a one-piece version. So KNP, just Knoop's last name.
Oh.
Stephen Knoop, KNOOP. And KNP is just, we always called it the Knoop. We always called it, if people hit me up, I need the Knoops. I need the Knoops. I was like, well, in honor to Stephen, we're just going to, we're not going to put his last name out there like that.
Right, of course.
It's kind of weird,
Yeah.
But we're going to still pay a nod to the wheels I made back in the day, and so that's where the name comes from, KNP.
That's so
just
cool.
Literally, Steven. I asked him if it was okay. I did reach out. I was like, hey, I'm planning on doing this. Yeah. I'm not gonna call it your last name, obviously. It is just a little much, but cool little tie back kind of Easter egg.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I will say most people that I ask what their favorite Kansei wheel is, or Kansei, damn, I already did it again. Okay, they're gonna say KMP or usually the Tandem.
Yeah, I feel like Tandem outsells the KMP though.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like it's because it looks so much like the battles.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
That was actually my third question for those first three. Was what is your opinion, or what do you say to a lot of the people that will say Kanseis are just rep wheels, or they're just designs based off of other manufacturers?
Yeah. We get it every day. Like I said, after reading comments,
I've got my own opinions on why people say that, and I don't agree with it whatsoever.
It's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it vanity? Is it people think that they're not made properly? Is it shortcomings with all the processes that could make a great wheel? And it's tough, man, because it depends on who you ask. Because some people are just so I don't want to say OG, but some people are hardcore. Only real wheels are original and or from Japan even, and it's
but then again, what defines real wheels?
It's weird,
even
man.
The vast audience, because to me, any designer of a wheel is gaining inspiration from something else.
Yeah.
So whether that's another wheel or another object, whatever it is, but that's any rep company is doing the exact same thing. You're just taking inspiration from something else.
Sure.
So wouldn't that deem every wheel as a rep?
Sure.
If you use that logic,
you
know?
could say that
Like-
because there's only so many ways you can do a spoke or this or that.
Right, exactly.
Which comes up all the time, but also like people associate
So
it with
silly.
just like when reps first became a problem, I think it was just like direct copies. Like just straight up TEs, RPF ones, just one for one, no shame, not even changing the valve stem hole, not like just no shame, like boom, like money grabbing, like companies that had no face, that were just, you know, maybe even like getting them from some back warehouse from like a China supplier. They never looked at the blueprints of the wheel. They never even know what kind of brake clearances it has. It's like, well, these will sell, you know, and those kind of get out there because people buy them. Like you said, people aren't afraid to get a $500 set of wheels, you know. Yeah. Like oh shoot,
I mean, just look at like, what is it, STRs?
Yeah.
And like XXRs and stuff like that.
Rotas even. So Rotas have a weird reputation all over the world, but yeah, so there's definitely bottom feeder type brands that are just preying off of exact copies that some people even post on like Facebook groups and forums as like, did I get duped? Like, are these TEs real? Because like the stickers are the same, the markings on the back, like there are like ruthless, and there are people trying to sell, you know, like fake wheels with
That's sketchy. Screw
with
that.
like Volk stickers and stuff, you know, and and people that don't know can get ripped off. But real wheels to me is a company and the people behind it that really thought out the entire like development process,
right?
You know, like how the tire goes on and what type of testing, how many cycles, you know, salt spray testing, what type of brake clearances, you know. How can we support our customers if something goes wrong? Like, how can we support our dealers when things go? How can we have sponsored drivers and a brand image and people at the company that go to events and are active in the drift community or the hobby or even the car hobby in general? Like, there's a lot you can do because a lot of us are enthusiasts that want to work at an automotive business.
Absolutely.
To blend our passions. And I think wheels got a bad rep because they just, a lot of people just have a taste in their mouth that like a lot of cheap wheels infiltrated the market. You were hitting potholes, they were shattering, and you always saw pictures of like, this is why you don't buy, you know, like all wheels can break, you know, like it's okay. Actually,
I
like,
take posts like that with a grain of salt, whether they're with wheels or any type of parts, because most of the time, whoever that is, doesn't know how to install the part correctly.
Or it's always just out of context, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Those
like,
people are just usually quick to just bitch and complain instead of figure out a problem. I'll sit there and like melt my brain trying to solve whatever issue it is before I reach out to anybody.
We had pictures floating around of someone that literally got into a car accident. Car was totaled. And the wheel broke. I mean, it's a front end collision. Like, and they're like, this is why you don't get Kansei wheels. And it's like, dude, zoom out a bit. Like, this person like was in a very serious crash. I think it was a G35 or a G37. It was a silver car. He was super cool about it, but like the picture got taken out of context. And on the internet, everyone just loves a little witch hunt kind of thing. But anyway, back to your comment. Like, like wheels can look like a lot of different things. We are not trying to trick anybody. We're not trying to, you know, get our wheels in some Reagan Masters and go, I can't tell. Like, this company's trying to dupe me. Like, this is awful. Like, they're shady. Like, no, like, we've always set out to be a fun, nostalgic, you know, throwback brand. Like the wheel brands that inspired me, like Rotiform and 1552.
I think that's a big reason why it grew so fast.
Yeah, because there's like just a nod to like nostalgic taste, stuff that looks good on 90s JDM cars and alike, but also like they can complement your sick wheels too. Like we never wanted to be the ultra premium brand. We want to be right in the middle, not, you know, dog crap bottom of the barrel. Plenty of those wheels out there already. Go grab those if you need some burners or some spares, or if they're on Marketplace and you just got to pick something up and you just don't care. They've been spray painted 10 different times.
Right.
They're like thicker now and I saw this need really as a car enthusiast myself. I was like, well, there's your super high end stuff, you know, the TE, you know, like not everyone's gonna get that. And we're like I said, we're a drift brand, so people need a lot of wheels.
Yeah.
So they need a lot. So we can't charge $800, $900 a wheel and expect people to stack up with our stuff.
Right.
I'm not a car show guy. I think wheels are tools for you know, motorsport and driving and racing. We're not trying to take anything away from those high-end brands. If you want those, go get them. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, we're not stealing any business from them. We are in our own lane over here in the middle.
Yeah.
We want to be a good price point. We want to be real car dudes working here, trying to hear you out, help you if something goes wrong, help you if something goes right, support grassroots driving, go to shows, talk the talk, like live the brand. We also want to distance ourselves from the super, super low end because we're not priced that way either. Everything is flow formed. We look at, you know, all the testing standards. We know how tires get mounted. I look at every blueprint of a new wheel developed. Like, I look at those blueprints. Yeah. I will. It's called a DWG. We work with our factories in China. They send us a DWG. I know what to look for to make tweaks and changes. Like, I'm going in and saying, like, oh, you can make this a little bit better right here. Can you like angle the valve stem a little bit more? Can you, like, we are like really developing wheels here. Contrary to many people's popular
focus on the meticulous
belief.
stuff.
Yeah.
Along with the design of it.
I will say a lot of these lower end brands don't even have a designer or engineer on staff. Like, they're relying on the factory, whether it's China or Taiwan or Vietnam. Just the wheels just show up. And you don't even know what the hub bores are until it's like on the box.
Actually,
you know?
that's very true. With the carbines, there was one time when I first found out about them, I ordered some that were hyper black. That was the color. And then I think a year later, I needed to order some more, just because I didn't have enough with how much tires I was going through at that point. So I ordered 2 more of the hyper blacks, and they showed up like really silver. Yeah. Like, they were a completely different color, and like you could tell it was just Chinese junk wheels. Yeah. But I just always ran them on different sides because you can't ever see both sides at the same time.
You know, I mean, no one was like giving a shit at like, you know, we give a shit is what I'm trying to say. Like, we have stuff at different factories. Stuff happens. We want to work with people. We're not going to leave you high and dry.
It always irritated me, but I was the only one that ever knew. So
that's okay. But as a person that's, you know, knows about manufacturing and working a lot with China, that's another thing too. We work with factories that we've been working with, especially with our parent company, Raceline, for over 20 years. Yeah. We're not just like Googling like wheels on Alibaba and like bring in 400 pieces. Let's see how it goes. It's like, no, like, we like go to Asia, visit all of our factories, like go to dinner with them, like go see the factories, the wheels getting made. Yeah. See the boxing, see the QC, you know, tell them to do things the way we want them to. Like, we're not just ordering from a book and just hoping they show up. Because, you could go on Alibaba right now and start a wheel company. There's pages and pages of probably factories backdooring stuff that they're not even aware of.
No way.
You could scoop up for $89 each and get murdered on the shipping. But there's sketchy stuff out there, and it's very easy. So a lot of like individuals or tire shops or something, they get it in their head that, I can just start a wheel company because I can just get some containers moved in. The wheels are $89 my cost. I'll sell them for $250. Yep. I'll make some quick cash. If things start going wrong, I'll just throw my hands up, you know, and say, you know. So I think a lot of the real wheel conversation comes from like, who is behind these wheels? Yeah. Because the ones that are not real to me are just people that just don't care, or maybe they're just out to make a quick buck, or maybe they know a little bit, or maybe their factory or their broker knows it's a little bit, but there's no marketing and there's no follow through, or there's no community management. Like, we like to have the most real approach. Sure, it is arguable that our wheels, I'll give it to a lot of people, we are an homage brand. Like we are brought back the Grenade R34 wheel. Like we were very, said that's always from the beginning. That's an explicit nod to this wheel. Aspect. We're not trying to trick anybody.
Yeah.
Like that's what we're trying to be. We're trying to bring back like OE wheels and stuff that we think would look cool. The KNP has a mixed reputation for sure because it's just a 5-spoke. So that's easily to get to be like, oh, that's a Rega-Master. Like, yeah, but there's a lot,
There's a lot more engineering that went into
CCW
it as well.
Makes one. Everyone makes a 5-spoke, but each one has everyone makes a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
It's
interesting because a lot of like companies wouldn't want to focus heavily on drifting just because the money is not there.
Yeah.
But given that there are so many companies along with Kansei, like Raceline that you just said.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, does having the backing from all of the other wheel companies allow you to focus on just drifting for Kansei? Because most companies wouldn't want to just focus.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yes and no. It's hard to answer that, but it definitely helped get our feet off the ground and get us stocked up with inventory. And we had we had a marketing budget in the beginning, very, very small,
of course,
and modest. But but we had very fortunate growth, so we were able to afford a lot of the sponsorship stuff we were looking to do as we just kind of grew organically.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
At first, no, we had such a skinny program. It was just like product. It's like all we can do is like give you wheels, because that is a currency in a way too.
Absolutely.
But so we always wanted to be a drift brand, so we just knew that drifters needed a lot of wheels, and if we had a cool wheel that people would want, we could use that in exchange for marketing, content, placements, and stuff like that. But I also leveraged a lot of my like personal connections that I had from doing car stuff since I was 16, like all the people I met and all the people in Virginia and the companies I worked with, and even when I spent some time in New York, I got into the car scene there with Anthony Halcyon. We would just cruise all night and shoot stuff together. He would do video, I would do photo. I met so many people in the car scene up around New Jersey and New York, Connecticut. All that, were almost like subconsciously like seeds I was planting with just like meeting people with the content I was doing. Because like I said, I was just doing photography for the most part. Yeah. I just loved capturing stuff. And I had a decent little following as I was kind of going through doing dope stuff. I would do cool stuff. I would like to do some urban exploration, and I would do maybe some car modeling shoots, and I was doing photography for like the hip hop radio station in Richmond at the time, so I got to meet a bunch of celebrities like Drake and Rick Ross and Tyga when they would come through town. We would shoot.
That's cool.
So I was like doing like a lot of club photography and just met a lot of very interesting people along the way, and always put it out there, like social media, like just put out there what I was doing. I was trying to, you'd want to look cool on social, so you only post your
the
cool
highlight
stuff.
reels.
Yeah, you always post, it's the highlight reel. And I was like trying to market myself in a way that, I was always doing cool stuff, because I looked up to like these cool like urban photographers like 13th Witness and Jason Goldwatch, and I was like, man, it's cool to put like an image out there that's like creative and like almost a little bit mysterious and stuff. But so I was very ambitious with photography. I probably netted zero money out of all of my photography ventures. I would never charge people.
That seems to be the going rate.
I was really bad at that because I was just having fun with it. I was never a business. I wasn't like, I always had a day job. Like I was like,
this gets to be my fun aspect of that world, the podcast stuff, because I get to see a lot and do a lot. With my Scotty D client, that I get to go and do a lot too, but that's the only person that I actually shoot for. I try and keep that to a minimum as much as possible just because I'm so busy. But I agree, you got to have some type of outlet where that creativity is still fun. That
was me, and it was in the car hobby. It was like still a way to go to shows, and I just wanted to stoke people out with pictures of their car.
That's awesome.
Like, it wasn't about me, like you're saying about the podcast. Like, it's not about
Just
me.
imagine if you were doing that today, because there's those guys on like Instagram and TikTok that go around taking pictures, print them out immediately, and leave little.
It's crazy. I was like kind of
amount of
living
content
that.
you could make.
Yeah. Well, now you have to like show your process. You gotta like film yourself filming yourself. And like show.
Dude, it sucks.
You gotta like screen record your edit process. I would never be into that. You know, like if I was coming up now, maybe I would. But me having already like gone through like, you know, exploration and photography and getting myself out there that way, now seeing that I'm like, oh god, hell no! Like,
dude,
I just want to.
It's rough.
Barely edit and like throw it up. Like I maybe just edit it on my phone. Like, I don't even want to like. We're talking about photography, you know. I was like, I don't want to do all these compositions. And all
that's
crazy
just
stuff.
photography too.
Yeah,
doing video is rough. Like there was because I started doing like product videos and stuff too now.
Yeah.
So I was doing an Abel Fab Parts one because I get their exhaust tips and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I use a broken heart tip on my car, and then I have this like spider web design one with a metal spider on it that I was doing a video of, and I did that where I recorded myself doing the process of recording this ad, and like I forgot about the camera half the time because it's just sitting in the background on record. You're just recording the whole thing, time lapse it all, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all used for 2 seconds of a video. Like that's it. It's just 2 seconds, and just having to think about changing that angle too is so annoying because doing product videos alone, you're thinking about everything.
It's already
you're
a lot,
trying to make sure you get every shot that you wrote down and like
get all the coverage.
It's rough. Yeah.
I mean, props to the people now that are making their name creating by like showing
doing that. Yeah.
Like on my algorithm
dude.
right now, I'm getting a ton of those like logo designers that show like the client wants this, and they're like going through like the color palette and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, this is like more work than designing for your client. Was like showing a video. And I was like, hats off to you, man. It is dope. It is interesting to watch because everyone wants to watch like a day's worth of work in like 10 seconds. Like, you want to see some expert like paint Walter White from Breaking Bad like with a Sharpie, and you're like, you could like.
Yeah.
No one's ever going to like sit down and do that themselves, but the fact that you can watch that in 10 seconds and go to the next
the
thing.
spray paint videos, dude. Of portraits of like moons and like mountains and oh my god.
Have you seen the car
stuck
ones? Like they start off with like splattering paint and then ends up being like a crazy portion of 9/11 at the end. I'm like,
I got too much time on your hands.
Yeah, like I always thought the art was the art. Like it wasn't like you filming the art, but now it's like people want to see the whole.
They need,
which I get.
They need the proof and the value almost in order to purchase whatever it is.
But you do appreciate something more when you see it get made. I do get that. So I maybe I could have, but I don't know. It's a crazy world now. But when I was coming up, it was just IG and Facebook too, and I had a lot of fun just like getting my name out there in the car community because I just loved it so much. And so I met a lot of really cool people. So when we started Kansei, everyone was like, took notice because like it was like I was putting out there a bunch. So I was like, I wasn't out there saying like I'm the owner and this is some startup and you gotta like here's a GoFundMe to help me like get stuff going. It was like, no, here's a brand. We're part of something bigger. I've been working at Raceline here for almost 10 years. As like the product engineer and designer. So I knew about how to make wheels for really, really big customers. And also we're helping a lot of really small brands with private label stuff. Brands I can't mention because, you know, of NDAs and stuff, but we would help smaller brands out. A lot of brands you might know. So I was working on smaller projects and I was designing truck wheels mostly, but I was getting to see my ideas go from CAD to, you know, 3,000 boxes out in the warehouse, and it's got to fit. It's got all the locals got to be right, all the specs got to be right. You got to be able to get a tire on. So I was like really gaining some experience, and we had seen smaller like niche brands popping up, and our owner of the company at the time was like, well, he's still our owner. I'll say at the time we were thinking like, how can we make a sub brand ourselves, because we were trying to branch out into more niche stuff. Because if you Google Raceline now, it's like a truck and off-road brand. We have a little bit of passenger car stuff. We got a lot of side-by-side ATV stuff, but we never had like a So it couldn't be under a race line name. And here at the company, it was like, does anyone have an idea to like do something like niche? And I was like, I got an idea. I got this K&P I've been, holding in my back pocket. I got an idea, and because some of our bigger corporate customers too were like noticing small brands, and they would come to us and be like, got anything like this? And we're like, dude, race line, a truck, we can't come out with that as like a truck brand. Like we can't. We're already so diversified, and we got our name on everything. And me as the product designer and engineer, I was like, well, I could just do it soup to nuts, And I had a photography background, a little bit of graphic design background, and I was like telling the team here, like, I think I could just do it all myself. I think I could just start this, talk to the factories, go through the blueprints. I need some help on the pricing.
It's important to mention though on that, because like you said, this building alone has multiple different manufacturers or brands of wheels.
brands,
So having all of that influence under one roof, we talked about this right before we did a little walkthrough of all what's going on here. But being able to, because there's trailer stuff, there's off-road stuff, overland stuff, there's
cheap stuff.
I mean, even I think the biggest wheel out there I saw was like a 28-inch by 12 or something like that.
It was
absolutely absurd. And those wheels are thousands and thousands of dollars because of what all goes into them. So being able to trickle down a lot of the stuff that this company's learned over the years into a drift company wheel is insane, because as much as we abuse wheels, we need that design and thought brought into everything. And the one thing that I wanted to bring up, I said I was going to bring it up, was the lips.
Oh yeah.
So the rolled over lip versus the what did you call it?
Oh, we had a flange style lip.
Flange style. Okay,
We could probably throw some pictures up on the screen, or we could go back out there, we could see. But well, real quickly to touch on your point, a lot of other wheel brands, big and small, don't have so much development and manufacturing happening under one roof. Like I had the privilege of walking 30 feet out there and seeing steel wheels get made, high-end forged wheels get made. Like, we are making wheels here in the States. Yes, arguably, like not all of them can be made here for price point.
Especially not here in California.
Especially not here in California.
Good God, the amount of space you would need for that.
I know a lot of people talk crap on wheels that get made in China, but a lot of stuff gets made in China. Okay,
absolutely.
Your iPhone, your Nikes, like stuff that you love. So brands that you love and put on such a pedestal, it's okay. Like, and when we've been doing, like, Raceline has been here since '99. So a lot longer than, that's longer than Kansei's been around, but we have relationships with factories for a long time. Like, we're not turning and burning. We're not pissing off our factories. We are with established people, and their name is on the line too. Just because it's made in China doesn't mean they don't care and they're just like spitting them out. Like, these people have laws.
Yeah, China does seem to have like that reputation, not necessarily in cars and stuff, but like just being. If you just hear the word China, you just think cheap because they don't care enough, or a lot of the whole China being cheap thing comes from like waste and stuff. Like they use recycled plastics, they use worse raw metal materials that's been heated up and melted down multiple different times, so it's really weak, and just a bunch of random
there are
stuff.
Sketchy factories out there. Like there are factories with dirt floors, and there are they're pouring wheels by gravity casting, which is like super old school. You know? And but a lot of OE, like China's been making wheels for a very long time, and they want to be good at it. Like they're not trying to be shady. They're not trying to be screw you over. Like, people want money. So why would you do something sketchy for like a one-hit deal? Like these factories that we've been using have been around for 20 plus years. So that's another thing I wanted to point out about, back to the real wheel, fake wheel argument. Like, some people are just buying, like I said, a container off of Alibaba, trying to flip it real quick, and then they're going to go back to doing something else. But we are like really like developing wheels from scratch, not picking them out of a book, not saying, oh, put our cap on. Oh, that's an RPF one. Oh, that looks like, put our cap on it. Yeah. Now it's our, like, no. They do have
way
books.
More knowledge that just trickled down.
Yeah, they do have books in China at these factories of molds that have been abandoned or customers that bailed on them. you could easily fall into if someone didn't have a designer in-house or an engineer, or they weren't farming that out to like a domestically, skilled person, you could very easily like say, oh shoot, we need a new wheel for next year. Hey factory, like, you got anything that someone else bailed on? Like, we don't have any ideas. Like, pick it out of a book. That's where you get into trouble. Because now all of a sudden it's like, oh, isn't that
very common?
You like some of the lower end brands, you'll see that. You know, like you'll see a kind of a wheel it kind of looks like a Cosmos. It's kind of not. It's kind of like where did this kind of come from? But what I'm trying to say is like we don't do that. Like every wheel we make, like I design the CAD first, send it to them. We work through size by size, making sure it looks consistent. Making sure we get the most concavity out of every spec. Like here's the brake caliper we want to clear. Let's try and get close enough to that, not to where it's sketchy, but like to make the design look good. Like every blueprint I sign off on as the engineer here. And it's a pretty big deal because once you sign off on a blueprint, they're making thousands of them. So it's not like we're just farting around and going like, that looks good, run it. It's like, this needs to like hit, this is a big commitment. You can't buy just 4 wheels. You got to buy, minimums for them to run the equipment and the paint lines and the drilling and
that's crazy.
Like, so these factories are well established. Like they are not trying to screw anyone over. They have government over there too. Like they have standards. There is global standards that we have to stick to. SAE, DOTT,
bunch of acronyms that nobody will even understand.
VIA, JWL, like all that stuff it's serious stuff. People aren't putting these stamps on wheels because they look cool. Like, these are all documented certifications. There's giant, thick books we look at. And there's standards for just how to mount a tire. You can't do whatever you want to a wheel's barrel.
Actually, the mounting tire. Let's jump back on the barrel thing, so lips and stuff. We jumped a little too far, but
that's a good tie-in though because it's all very regulated. You can't just have a flat lip wheel when you want. And you can't just have like a crazy step lip when you want. Any tire in the world has to be able to go on any wheel in the world of the same size within spec. Because the last thing you want to do is develop a wheel that you can't put a freaking tire on because it's too flat or too, it's very thought out. So when you think of Chinese wheels, we're not just picking from some book and saying, oh yeah, that'll look like. No, we were telling them we need to clear this caliper. We need to be able to get a tire on easily. Stick to these specs. So there are differences that you could play around with, like the lips I was showing you outside. Flat lip wheels in the two-piece world are a lot different than step lip wheels because of where the drop sits and where the center can go. And what their difference is as far as weight and performance. So like a step lip wheel with a flange style lip. And we'll throw a picture up for people to get it, where the material just kind of ends. You could probably picture it, but that wheel, that has been around for forever. Like that's where they used to clip the wheel weights on. That's what that's for. That's what that flange is for. Now it's kind of morphed into like a style thing. And now cast wheels have that, and you don't really hammer wheel weights on lips anymore. They're all stick on the barrel. But yeah, there are various distinct differences and reasons why you should pick a certain lip. Like, we all have our like cosmetics in mind of a lip a look we're really going for because
I really like the step lip.
But
that's
awesome.
a bad weak lip, technically.
It can be weaker because of how it's made. And it was developed, for wheels a long, long time ago where they had big old fat tires on them and the lips never touched anything else besides maybe a curb. And in motorsports especially, all those 3-piece wheels that were developed for motorsports, you'll see that little potato chippy thin flange lip. It's because they have a big old tire on there and they're not going to hit anything. It's very well protected. So it's okay to have a little thin baby lip, And then you have lips that have the material rolled back on itself. So a lot stronger, heavier, But
Way heavier, yeah.
when you're running,
that style is more common in 3-piece wheels.
It is.
I think.
You can do both. But it all depends on the size of the face. So like if the wheel started off with a flat lip and it's an 18-inch, if you rebarreled it with step lips, it could be a 19 or a 20. Like they make step up stuff. But usually if you have a certain wheel and you're trying to rebuild it, you want a flat lip, if you stay with a flat lip, to keep the same diameter.
Right.
So, but the lips I was showing you out there, we offer for our 2-piece stuff, we offer a straight lip, which a lot of people know from like the VS XX and like a lot of old work wheels, just a flat lip and like a bigger center, no drop, no step. It's called a drop, really, is the technical word for it, because that's where the tire drops into when you're mounting it, because you can't get the two things that are the same size have a really hard time getting together. So you just make a drop well in the wheel's barrel where the rim barrel gets skinny. Mm-hmm. That's so you can flop that tire on there. Yeah, that's so you can get it on. A lot of people don't know that. They're like, I want a big old slant.
Yeah, because you mentioned the flat lips. They're on the inside. You don't have that.
There's no taper
as much of.
There's no taper, so it's a bitch to mount. Because you're just trying to get that tire to go all the way across a very flat to get that bead to pop. So you need to think about that too, But also the plus side is a flat lip, more brake clearance, because you don't have that taper down on the hoop. So there's a lot that goes into it, and back to your point, it's like all that's under one roof here. So we learn about all of that because we're manufacturing right there. And we see the problems, we see the pluses and the minuses, and we do apply that to the cast wheels. Because when we're looking at blueprints, it's all right there. It's like, oh shoot, like look how big that drop is. Like if we made that a little bit less, but still stayed within the regulations, of the books that we study, we can maybe clear the new Challenger or Charger and really have like some instinct when we're developing stuff. Because like I said before, we're not just shooting from the hip, picking stuff out of a book and hoping it works.
What's the craziest like mishap that you've seen come through here that really taught you or like changed a lot in the design process or whatever it was of all the wheels being developed?
Man, I got a few,
sure there's a lot.
But like, sometimes the pocketing on the back of a wheel could just be too much.
How do you mean?
You see like on the back of spokes or around on the back side of the wheel, you see little pockets where they're trying to save weight here and there. We were developing a racing wheel for off-road use, and we just had too many pockets back there, man. We did some hillbilly testing in the back here with some first samples.
Like exploded the
and
spoke.
It just was nuts. So we went back and changed it. So I was like, oh shoot, maybe when it comes to like a hardcore race wheel, no pockets. Like just screw the weight, like if it's an off-road, like the tire is 120 pounds already. Like what do we care about saving a few grams on the wheel, So we've had that. Man, I approved a wheel one time when I first started working here that was a 14 and a half.
No shit.
There's a 14-inch wheel, a 14-inch tire. The 15-inch wheels, a 15-inch tire. I've screwed up before. I approved. I didn't know there's a bunch of numbers on this blueprint, and we were really trying to get this special project done, and I just said, yeah, it looks good. Probably my second week or something working here. And, came in, and we're like, get the tape measure out, and we're like,
what the hell?
No one makes a 14.5-inch tire, so that's a F up. So always double check the actual OD, like where the tire is, like always check that. Yeah. But screwing up is how you learn, though. It's just part of it, Yeah. And
I don't know any other way to learn.
Yeah,
truthfully,
it sticks with you the best.
Yeah, I could watch you screw up on editing this specific video a million times, but until I go through and screw up in that exact process that you were doing, it's not like the whole. What is like the term? It's not trajectory of the way the process goes. I have to understand where that step lies within all of it to be able to comprehend how it fucked everything up. Yeah. So
experience, man.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot.
Yeah. So don't get me wrong. We love being professional and getting everything right here, but we have screwed up, and you just learn from it. Yeah. Move on, blow out the wheels, whatever you got to do. But also, it helps you kind of strengthening things up with the factory too. It's like, hey, we missed this. Like, we don't know something you don't know. Like, you should have told us. Like, this is keep us in check a little bit too. Let's talk about like sticking to the specs we intended and stuff like that.
Right.
So, but yeah, we've seen crazy stuff come through here. Another cool thing we did out of here was we made wheels for Ken Block.
Really?
Yeah.
Which
for,
ones?
For 1552, they commissioned us to make real beadlock 20-inch wheels for the Huna truck.
No
shit. We made those here. Yeah, pretty rad.
That's insane.
Yeah, so I got to do the CNC programming, and we cut those right back here. We welded them.
R.I.P. Ken Block.
Yeah, definitely. But I never met him or anything like that. But it was cool to like work on something that ended up like going to viral. So
absolutely.
On the Huna truck, like we made those wheels here. So and they were real beadlocks because he insisted on them being real. And we have like Raceline, our off-road brand, has a lot of experience doing beadlocks, especially like funky.
Oh yeah, so it was just a cakewalk to incorporate that. Probably.
It was still tough because they were
compared to any other
brand would just turn it away. But we're good friends with 1552, and
Gotcha.
We've helped them on like projects here because all the wheel companies here, we all kind of talk. It's a small world. Like we don't all hate each other.
Yeah.
It's an industry. Like we all compete. But like we're swapping parts, we're swapping employees. Like it's a small world.
That's funny.
You know? Like because sadly it's like a dying industry here because when the wheels used to get made in the U.S. like and all those OG people that wheels are a finicky thing and you want people that have experience with wheels, especially when it comes to manufacturing them, knowing what to look out for. All these little quirks that I was telling you about, like you kind of like need someone with that on their side. But all these people are retiring. Like companies are obviously more and more is going to China. There are U.S. brands selling their stuff to China, saying like we don't want to make wheels anymore. Like you just take our equipment. Like,
do it, please.
You do it, and we'll just buy them back.
Becoming a headache.
Like, so it's not like the evil thing that's happening. But people that make decisions for business do it, to benefit their business, and just because it's not morally right in someone's mind doesn't mean it's illegal. Like if an owner of a company makes very difficult decisions every day.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not fun. Like I think Instagram and grind culture has made it seem like you got to be an entrepreneur, you got to be a boss, you got to be rich. You got to be rich to have like a sick life.
Absolutely.
And it's like if you're not cut out to be like a entrepreneur, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be one. You can just work somewhere.
I've always said you got to kind of be a little bit of a psychopath to be able to do it.
Yeah.
In a sense, because I mean, I was making decent money before this. Like close to in my area, $100,000 like is pretty good money to be making, especially at my age. So, but when I could not stand working for someone.
Yeah.
At least in that boss aspect.
Sure.
Like for working for a client. So be it. I have control over my
then they're
life
the boss.
too. Yeah. So it's just a different dynamic. But
it is different.
Being able to work under someone was just horrible for me.
Yeah,
because it was always you got to do it this way. Well, you're not the one doing it every single day. I'm the one doing it. This way works better for me. It makes it more efficient for me. Blah blah blah. Second.
What industry were you in?
So I was selling cars originally. Doing at that time.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of different things: frame houses, body work, make seats for Nissan, like a ton of stuff. But I was selling cars at the time, and then worked into being their marketing manager, doing their social media and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I was making basically the same amount doing that as I was selling cars. But I now make, way less than that doing this stuff. But I also get to do whatever I want.
Sure. Yeah.
With an extent, of course.
Yeah.
But I get to enjoy my life more. I'm in California right now.
Yeah.
I would have never been able to just be like, let's figure that out.
How
I
much
can do
PTO
that.
do I got?
That's not even a question anymore. It's like my whole life is PTO is what it feels like.
Yeah.
But I'm working at the same time. So I don't even know where I was going with that, but like.
Well, what I was kind of saying is like, I thought the only way to get my ideas out there was to be like, on my own company kind of thing. I do not own Kansei. Like, I am not an owner. I am not I'm sorry, I'm not your next.
That was going to be a question, but I kind of figured that.
I don't own it. I'm not your next Dave Portnoy. I'm not your next, story. I don't really even want to be an owner. Seeing, it just doesn't. As a creative, I'd much more rather worry about just doing the creative stuff and getting my ideas out there. I'm just more into that than like. I don't put money first. I don't say like I got to be an owner because I want to be rich. I want to go on vacations. Like I gotta have a sick life on IG. Like no, like honestly, like me getting the work out there, my creativity, like my ideas, onto people's cars and have their cars loved because of what we do, does it for me. And if it pays off monetarily, that's cool. But it was never like the goal. It was always like express. So. I've met a lot of super cool people, a lot of company owners, like as I've come up, and all the cool people I've met just through having a brand. So I am the brand manager, and I am the founder. But the more people I met that own their own business, the more I'm just like, that's just not for me. Like I don't want to worry about the health insurance plan for next year. I don't want to worry about the fire department coming here and the sprinklers aren't up to code, and I don't want to worry about the Uline account and getting I don't.
One person I give props to that's along those lines is Cody from BC. Oh yeah, because he's a genius for one, but he likes to focus on the marketing side of things more. Mm-hmm. But what I just found out like recently that I didn't really know, I knew he dabbled a little bit in it, but almost every ad or like content that comes out of BC themselves is filmed, edited, and done by Cody himself.
Whoa.
Did not know that one bit. He sent me an ad. Yeah, exactly. I was like astonished. He sent me an ad the other day that I was like, was really, really good. Like insanely good. Which this is what he just loves to do. He was doing this stuff before, BC and all that anyways. So he sent it to me and I was like, dude, who edited this? Like what? Who filmed it? Who edited it? He was like, it was me. I was like, you're joking.
Yeah, that's rad.
You're supposed to be focusing on the company. Why?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
But that's just what he loves, and like merch designs and stuff. Like his brain has to be involved in it, even if it is too much work. That's just him, and he loves it. It's crazy to me.
I will agree. Anyone that's at a significant position at a company should be involved with the branding, image,
absolutely,
and marketing of it. You should not just farm that out. You should not just put that off. Like that should be like, especially with smaller brands and social media, and even bigger brands. Like the more face you can put to it, the more relatable it is. And I think that's what helped Kansei get a lot of notoriety at first. Was like it was arguably like me like pushing it and like me trying to be like the face of it. And of course we had some really cool media placements along the way, like Fitment Industries back when Alex and the guys were there, helped us out a ton, interviewed me at SEMA all the time. It really helped like put a face to things. But yeah, I think that even if you're an owner or not or something, or if you're at a position in a company, you got to have that human element in your marketing and branding, because there's a lot of firms out there that just want to do it all for you. We'll have a social campaign for you. We'll do your email blasts. It's like,
you got to be
like, guys,
you got to be leery with agencies and stuff like that, because they'll charge you $10+ a month, and then just dump all that money into ads and stuff, and you're just getting fake views for the most part.
And it's just not right. So that's what I do a lot here too. Is like, I work very closely with Vicente, our media guy, on all the events that he goes to on our behalf, or any new campaign we put out. Like we'll butt heads, so we will get into the weeds on like down to the second in the video cut, like how it should be and like how each ad should look. I do every Instagram post every day. I have since we started. I think we're over like 2,000 posts now. Like I write the captions for all of those. So I am hyper involved with like the branding, image, and marketing. And I am getting a little bit better at like letting some of it go, because there are people out there, like when it comes to designing the merch, like I've kind of hit my limit with that. Like I think I had a lot of fun.
That was one of the first things I let go of. I was like, dude, this is for one, it takes way too much time.
It's insane. It's insane.
And then I'm way too meticulous, so I will sit there and nitpick. Especially if I'm designing it, I'm going to see every detail. So nitpick it all. But if I have someone else do it, most of the time I'll look at it on the first one and be like, holy shit, that's way better than anything I would have designed.
And you say that
all I want is this one detail changed, and I'm solid.
And that time you got back, you were able to put in other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you weren't in Photoshop or Illustrator or whatever. Like you weren't like doing it pixel by pixel, which I used to do. Which when you're like a one-man band in the beginning, it's kind of cool. But at the end, no one really respects a one-man band in the end. It's like, well, if you're designing a shirt, it's like, who's going to make sure my order ships? It's not that cool, dude. Like reel it in. So, but and especially in the beginning, we didn't have a marketing person in like our first couple of years. We were just kind of outsourcing media and content, but I was always super involved. But now, at least now we have like a dedicated salesperson, James, and Josh doing community management and events. So it is nice to have a team. So we still are small. So we are just 3 people. Yeah. And myself, I'm pretty much marketing / creative director on top of everything. But
design engineer too.
Design engineer. Oh, that first and
the
foremost.
most important one.
So I get to act like I'm a company owner and do all this fun stuff, but it probably would be cool to own a company at some point. But man, I just love doing the creative stuff so much, and I like having a balanced life too.
You're in a good spot right now.
Yeah, it's fun, man. Yeah, I got an awesome family and wife and 2 kids, and I get to pick what kind of car shows I go to now. But super supportive home life. So that really goes a long way too. Like I don't want to be 39 and like single and like, still like I want to like make my parents stoked and like her parents stoked and like have a
them still
fun
be able
family
to see it while they're here.
Yeah. And
I totally get that.
So that is part of it, but like I do miss like the early days of Kansei and my photography stuff and like grinding and like traveling and like making no money. I do look back on those days romantically.
That's actually the next thing I want to touch on is like the earlier days. When I first actually noticed Kansei, God, I keep doing it, dude.
There we go.
When I first noticed Kansei, it was clutch kickers.
Oh yeah.
So it was massive with clutch kickers.
Yeah.
And like I say noticed, but I had seen the company before, the wheels and stuff like that, but it never really had that image to me until it hit clutch kickers.
Yeah.
Because that event just had such a massive impact.
That was a sick event.
Dude, insane.
That was Castleberry and all the guys down there, Midyet, we love supporting that because it was so disruptive.
Oh,
it was so cool.
Insanely disruptive.
Yeah, and you had like 350Zs with no cages going up against like Dirk Stratton, like FD,
I think it represented exactly what Kansei was trying to do.
Yes.
Again.
Yeah.
Exactly what Kansei was trying to, I guess, put off into the industry.
Yeah, it was really the perfect event.
Nostalgic.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was the average Joe versus the pros. We make wheels for both. You know, they're off the shelf. We're not making special wheels for the pros. And like Odie and Simon and Dean, like people that are crushing it in FD, like 1,000 horsepower cars, are just on off the shelf wheels. Like they're not on the forged 2-piece. They are on wheels you can buy. So it's a really cool testament to that. But yeah, like an event like Clutch Kickers, man, I forgot how we even got involved with that.
That was my next question. Was
how
that opportunity even came about?
Shoot, I think we were doing stuff. Man, I might butcher it, but I ended up talking to Castleberry on the phone a couple of times. Man, there was someone that hooked that up, but I can't remember who. Or maybe I just reached out to them.
Scott from Group Royal, maybe?
No, I met Scott at
Clutch
Kickers.
Way.
Yeah, I didn't really know Scott. I kind of knew Scott through, Facebook and like being like car people that kind of came up in the same era and time. We knew a lot of the same people, but no, they stuck our booths right together.
Nice.
That's
hilarious.
And it was our first. We were in California, obviously. We flew all of our stuff out to Clutch Kickers to set up, and like FedEx like didn't bring half of our stuff, so we didn't have a tent. We didn't have a tablecloth. We had like nothing.
Yeah.
So Scott was like, saw like a fellow vendor in trouble and was like, I'll help you out, man. What do you need? You know? And we kind of just.
Such a good dude.
His dad was there, so that was epic. But we end up crazy. Somebody at Clutch Kickers knew somebody that worked at FedEx in Alabama at the hub where our stuff was stuck.
No way.
And I don't know if they knew him from the tractor pull or something. You know? It was like some kind of like down south ingenuity.
Absolutely.
It was 2 hours away. I think it was Dawson, Alabama. Our stuff was stuck in. Yep. And they were like, we got it coming for you. It'll be there in 2 hours. I don't know if they bought him a 6-pack or something, but I was in our rental with Vicente, and I was like, we're driving this 2 hours. We're going to Alabama to get our shit. Like, we just have to go. This is crazy. So anyway, long story short, tough times in the beginning of Clutch Kickers with our stuff being missed, and we didn't probably get like hardly any good media out of it. But Vicente, we brought him to everyone, and we flew him to the ones that I couldn't go to. But Clutch Kickers is very formative in our come up because we already had some wheels out there at that point. We had some drivers that were doing it, but I saw Adam was there, and I was like, oh man, like that would be cool to like somehow meet him, you know, because he was so influential in the scene. It was very Florida. It was very southern. Like I really wanted to make a shirt for it with like an alligator on it and like a airboat kind of thing. Like I had this idea for this shirt. It would be like a. Do you remember the skate brand Hookups back in the day? They had like anime girls. They were like pretty risque shirts, like and boards back for the. Now it's like all over Instagram anyway. But like I want to do this like logo flip where it would be like this alligator on an airboat with like one of those like hookup style like girls like pulling the I might still do it, but or anyone can steal that shirt idea, I guess. But very open arms down there, fit the brand. We made some sick content out of it. Yeah. Whether the weather was good or bad, met a lot of rad drivers down there. Yeah, it was
Clutch Kickers. It was so good.
It was like a really sweet spot, like a melting pot of like a lot
when
of
it was
passion.
that Holt, Florida track.
Yeah.
That track. That's when the media was
the Emerald Coast one. Yeah. And then we went to Cletus's, and it was different there. You know, it was tough. Did you go to any of the rounds?
No, I never went to any of the rounds. I did drive one of the fun days at Emerald Coast one time. Coast. So very thankful I got to drive that track before. That was really cool to experience.
Now it's legendary. It was legendary then, but now that it's like gone, it's crazy.
And even that day, I mean, it was absolutely packed in the pits. I could not imagine what a full Clutch Kickers was like.
It was electric, man. It was super cool, and everyone. It was like in the middle of nowhere, you know, like that part of Florida. Yeah. Just like remote, man. So yeah, that was cool. And so that's where we really kicked it off with Scott from Grip Royal and his dad and Mike, and like we just had such a like connection that Scott still helps us out. Scott will booth for us now, like on East Coast shows, like all this. Send him our Easy Up, and he's got all of our wheels, and we just post up. And so shout out to Scott.
Helps hold on to some of the merch. And stuff like that.
And all the stuff he's doing now with the Drift Mansion, and like you were just there, but and that's actually how we met you too. Yeah, it's through Scott. Yeah. So shout out to Scott. But
so cool how that works.
Can't say enough good things about Clutch Kickers, and I'm excited to see what they do with it at Mid Pond. Like,
that was my next thing. Is what you think about the Mid Pond situation, them coming back for that.
I've never been to that track personally, but like a lot of our drivers have been there, and it's always been like good stuff mentioned.
I will still say it today. It is probably first or second best track in the South. Period,
no way.
In my opinion,
it looks sick. Like all the little.
It's not like amazingly paved track. Like it's an old go-kart track.
Yeah, sure.
But the way it flows now that. Once they extended it a couple of years back, it's such a good track. It's longer than you think.
Okay.
And it's all hot laps all day. Oh. The track never goes cold. Fun. As long as there's no more than like 6 or 7 cars, I think is what it is, on track at once, you're good.
That's a lot.
Which, that's a lot. Yeah. But it's a long track. It's longer than you think. So like 7 cars is like right at the cusp of like, okay, it's getting a little too crammed. But you're never going to break 7 cars on track. Like, it never happens at Mid Pond. Even if it is a packed out event.
Very cool.
There's so much seat time that you have to stop yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And most good performing high horsepower cars, you're only going to get 2 or 3 laps anyways
on the tires.
Because it's just you could go around and around and never stop drifting once.
Link the whole thing.
Over and over.
Whoa.
Like it flows immaculately.
Rad.
The only time some people will argue that point is on the back straight, because you can either, like, if you got a really fast car, you can do one quick manji and you're into the 90. Mm-hmm. Or with lower horsepower cars, you manji it all the way or just straighten up and go into the second turn.
Okay.
But
get ready for it.
You technically can link the entire track
I did not know
over
that.
and over and
Maybe
over.
that's why the content from there is so good. Because there's no stop in the action. And the little lake is cool in the middle and the hills
it's got
around
the pond,
it.
and then you got that big back patio to the building where everyone can sit. And dude,
I got to get down there.
It's an amazing track.
I really want to see what they do with it. Like, I'm excited to see.
I knew something big was coming.
Yeah.
Because for so long that track has been nudged and nudged and nudged to expand.
There's been events there. There's been stuff happening there.
Yeah. I mean, Drift Week was there one time. So. But they just wouldn't do it. They wouldn't expand. And Ken is an amazing guy. Dude,
I saw all the comments on the Clutch Kickers post. Everyone's like, Ken's doing it. This is the right move. So
So after the episode with Chase McMaster, we had talked about some stuff with Mid Pond.
Sick turtleneck, by the way.
I know, right?
Dialed.
I was like, dude, you had to show up with a freaking turtleneck looking all bougie
Shout
and shit.
out to that. Yeah.
But no, we talked about that, how like he's tried to push Ken to expand a little bit, nothing ever happened, and then like very shortly after that, the expansion was announced, and I was like, it can't be because of the podcast. Like, there's no way that
that'd be cool.
Way
though.
too short of a time. It'd be very cool
if
I influenced that somehow, but there's no way. So I was like, there's got to be something big in the works. And then I ended up going to Spring Break Bash recently after that. Mm-hmm. Never really got a time to sit down and talk to him about it or anything, but. Yeah, once I saw that post, I was like, everything makes sense. Yeah. All of it makes sense. I knew there was something big
people were guessing
coming.
That already, because people were like, I was reading some of this stuff, and people were like, oh, I think it's going this way. And I was like, oh, cool. I just hope it finds a good home. Yeah. It needs that, like, smaller track vibe.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because I've been talking to, speaking of Scott, his media guy, Austin.
Yeah.
He's the last line of defense of Clutch Kickers.
He was keeping that IG alive.
Yeah, he's been. If you've seen any posts on IG from Clutch Kickers, it's been Austin.
I've asked Scott about it. I butcher your name.
Like,
this is crazy. Yeah, the IG is still going there, posting from the mansion. Anyway, shout out to Austin. Yeah, rad.
It's very
rad
cool.
Dude.
So, but yeah, I just wanted to bring up Clutch Kickers.
No, I love it.
What your opinion is?
It was great for our brand. It's like we're the perfect brand for that, to support that. So hopefully when it starts getting up and going again, and they send us a deck about what the new vision is, and we want to be on board. So if we can see
your answer.
What the idea is. But yeah, very, very cool for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, good. I look forward to seeing that and seeing the partnerships and stuff.
Yeah,
There's so much opportunity for like flagging and like
all
sorts of stuff there now.
Well, sponsoring series is hard as a brand. You know, you really got to squeeze all the juice out of that lemon
every little bit.
Yeah, because and I always say, if you're not gonna go as a brand, if you're not gonna physically be there, don't sponsor.
Really?
Still, yeah.
Why do you say that?
Because you gotta, your brand has to be like someone from the brand has to be interacting with the series.
That's fair.
Because you're just phoning it in.
Would that be whether it's you or like a driver or
a rep or someone from that area? Yeah. But like someone with your best interest has to be there. Right. Like we have companies that hit us up all the time. Like, do you want to sponsor this thing? Mm-hmm. And like, dude, I'd love to. Like, it sounds cool.
Yeah.
But for us to get the most out of it, someone's got to have to physically be there and like live the event and be able to talk about it and like carry that on. Because like, if I go to an event, I can't talk about it. I can't fake it and be like, oh yeah, that was rad at final bout. Like I haven't learned to final bout. I'm not gonna. But if we had like James or Josh on the phone, that's like, yeah, I saw your stuff out at the mansion, that was so cool. Like, oh yeah, that wasn't that storm crazy that weekend? Like, wasn't that like thunderstorm wild? Like, boom, like this is how what they don't talk about in brand building is like these micro connections that just like start like,
a lot of the connections I've found happen after business is over.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times, like a PRI, sitting at the bar at O'Reilly's or something, just having a conversation, a lot more connections happens there than actually at the show.
Oh yeah, that's always how it is. It should take a while too. It shouldn't be like, hey, how you doing? Like, sponsor me. Like, well, you're not even.
Who the fuck are
you?
You know?
Buy me a drink first or something.
Yeah,
gotta,
shit.
Do
Take
that.
out to
But
dinner.
yeah, it's sponsoring though, whole different world. So
what do you guys look for out of a sponsor? Not just for events, but like for drivers. What do you look for whenever you get a deck or someone reaches out to you or whatever it is?
It's all over the place, but we like to see some creativity. You know, we like to see you have some sort of an image already. We like to see that you not only can you wheel, but can you represent yourself online well, how you engage with your community already. Are you a hot boy that doesn't respond to comments? Like, yeah, there's a time and a place for those, but we're looking to like build our brand and add some validity through like placements. Like we want to make sure you have the best interest too, and you weren't on Other Wheels 6 months ago, and you made a whole announcement post with a wall of boxes, and now you're hitting us up. Like, that's not a good look.
That doesn't make sense.
If you're reaching out to new people, delete your old stuff at least. At least humor us. Like we're gonna look at your IG right away. And you had a post 6 months ago with some Other Wheels. Like, nah, come on. Like, do better than that. So we like people to have good media already. So I know this has been said on the pod a lot before, but invest in media. Like, holy crap. Like, even if it's just buying your buddy dinner that night, give him something, because you will look so much better to a company if you have some sort of continuity with your media.
I'll fight that a little bit. As the media guy, don't take that offer.
No, don't just take
cheating
dinner.
us.
But if you really can't do crap for your guy, do something. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, just offer something.
Absolutely.
If you are grassroots and like you're buying your last 2 scrubs just because it's like,
dude, if you're grassroots, make it a point every event to go and have a conversation with the people that are doing media.
At least that.
That's all you need to do half the time in the
Yeah.
grassroots level. They'll just give you that stuff for
They'll
free
flow
because they're
it,
trying to make it work themselves too. So
open that door a little bit and be like, hey, did you get anything good or or something? But we as a brand and as someone that's looked at a lot of decks in the past, just have some sort of continuity or some sort of vibe to your branding. That always looks better than just you with all the random stickers on your car and inconsistency year to year. Like, you had these wheels and you had these shocks and now you're just all over the place. That doesn't look that cool to a brand. You want to.
That's why I brought the clutch kickers thing up, because that fit the image of Kansei. So
we thought hard about that.
So that's why I wanted to bring that up and then follow it up with this question.
We will, like, just like a series or a driver. It's like, what fits our vibe too. You should make decisions as a brand that like complements your brand, not be so out there. It's like, oh, they're getting into this now. Like, that's kind of Why are they? They're getting desperate over there. Like, what the heck is going on? So you want to like. It could be, you could have a sick proposal on your hands, and you're like, but
stick in the mud or something.
We're not really looking for that, or we got a lot of those guys already. Like we already got a.
That's another thing. Don't take it personal.
Definitely.
Jeez.
You just might not be the right fit for that brand, because a brand, not even just us, is trying to build their image through people that meet their image. So if you're not that, you just don't fit the vibe. Like, we're not looking. If you want to nerd out on wheel speeds and all this stuff, and we're looking for people that like to thrash, have an artistic car, have a cool looking car, and we still appreciate like all of these types of builds of what we're looking to build, and what will look good on our page is people that are a little bit renegade, a little bit creative, a little bit out there, have a sick car, something unique.
Shameless plug, renegade. That's the fuel.
Oh, there you go. Like something a
well.
little bit edgy, because we still consider Kansei like a youthful more gritty, street leaning brand. And, you know, there's a reason why brands pick the people they want to work with, because they're, you know, they can like work with them on like a professional level. Also, their vibe matches the company vibe. Mm-hmm. So if you're, you know, just not the fit, we're just gonna say you just don't fit our brand vibe.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not a bad thing. You just got to find the brand that fits your vibe. Yeah. So I think that's what a lot of people forget. It's like, I sent out 100 proposals and I got nothing back. That's like, well, you might be too generic, or, you know, you might need to approach a brand that's like more like you, that wants the content. That's like, I changed the gear ratio and now I'm getting this wheel speed in corner 3, and like, we're not gonna post something like that. That's super cool. That's super like nerdy and interesting. Yeah, like that's like super cool. And like, we do work with, you know, Josiah at FDF. Like, he nerds out on that stuff. We love that shit. Yeah. But
he's found a way to do it in a very beginner friendly way, like to where the newbie consumer can actually comprehend what he's saying.
It's incredible what he can do with like these. I think it was like an angle kit, and he had like this, like, you pull the lever at the in his booth. The displays he does. Like, they're like very simply show. Like,
I was just talking about that to somebody the other day.
I was like, man, that stuff is dope. So we will sponsor him, and he is, you know, lovably a nerd in that space too, which is great. We're nerds too, but the image we put out there is more street, like more like we're nerds in how our wheels work and function and are safe. Yeah. And
wheels have more of a style aspect. General,
they're gonna do the job.
The industry angle kits, like, that's a nerdy
performance thing. Yeah.
Very, like, anyone buying that's gonna have relatively an understanding of how suspension works.
Yes,
so they're gonna be able to nerd out themselves on it.
We want. And we could be a nerdy wheel brand. I say nerdy like lovingly. It's not like, it's just like a generalization, but like,
if you get butthurt by that, screw you.
Yeah, well, we could spend hours talking about safety bumps on wheels, the bead humps. Like, we could nerd out on that, but that's not. I don't talk about. That's not me. Like, I'm.
The average person buying a wheel doesn't really care about that.
No, and maybe there is an argument to make where you should be the brand that gets fully technical and really makes people feel like this is like all the nuts and bolts between the dimensions and everything. That is a way to do it. That's just not our way to do it. Yeah. You know, every brand is different for a reason, because they find their own approach to like do things.
I feel like something like that would be marketed towards like F1 more.
Yeah, those
like
kind of
those very high dollar intricate programs.
Sure, yeah, and like a brand that does that very, very well, which I respect, is Apex Wheels. Yeah, they spend a lot of time showing you every different tire combination and offset for your BMW or Corvette, or they're branching out into a ton of stuff now. But I have a ton of respect for that brand, because that makes people feel so good about the wheel and the tire and what they're getting from this company.
In their setup.
That is awesome. Like, maybe we could use a little bit more of that here to like help people get like really stoked up. Because a lot of people don't know wheel specs. You know, they call us up all the time like, I want to run a 10.5, and it's like, dude, you got a TSX.
I think if y'all buried yourself more in like the grassroots aspect of the informative stuff, that way you're not flooding it with that. Yeah. But we want to find a way to kind of sprinkle it in. And like just, you know, because I think you guys do have a really big tie to those people. Like with my audience, I have a lot of newbies getting into the sport, or just people from the outside looking in, wanting to get into the sport. I feel like that Kansei would be able to.
You got it right that time.
Say again?
You said it right that time.
I know. I got it. Kansei would be able to tap into that audience a lot more and be understood more, rather than Apexi or whoever. All the other brands. But
I want to lean into that. We're just a little tapped media-wise right now. Right. So that needs like full on, like, we got to be setting up here with lights and like me explaining blueprints and stuff. I would love to lean into that a little bit more. So I think as we grow, I definitely want to infuse more of like the nerdy stuff. Because like I said, there's a place for it, you know. Yeah. And we just,
I wouldn't even say doing all of that. I think it's more, I guess, relatable. Yeah. When it's just you, say, walking around the shop, someone's just following you with an iPhone.
Yeah.
Like it's
just as
people
simple as that.
overcomplicate content nowadays, like way
You're
too
right.
far.
You're right.
And like especially bigger companies and stuff, they'll want it. Like Holly is really bad about it. I don't. Holly has made their name, so like I understand why they're good,
They're like
so
a
they don't
public
necessarily
company
need it.
now. They're like
Yeah. But they'll
like
do
a stock price
like
now.
these sit down videos with a panning camera, sitting on a slider doing its own thing, and it's a dude behind a desk with all these parts laid out.
Classic.
And it's that very like classic informative style how-to videos and stuff. Like Mad Mike still keeps that going. Has that one dude that does the voiceovers for all of his videos. Like I don't know if you've been seeing the McLaren build.
Yeah, it just launched today.
The dude,
Goodwood,
the dude doing the voiceover. That's a very classic way to do content. It works for Mad Mike just because he's from that era.
Yeah, he's OG.
But like nobody cares about that anymore.
No.
Like the average person or the average company can't do that and can't pull it off. It's good to use like if
I'm
you
gonna take
got
that to heart.
B-roll or whatever like that.
Yeah.
If you want to use it for B-roll, solid.
Let me
But
think. Yeah, I could probably
being
work
able to
that
be
in.
as relatable as possible to the audience, especially given it's a lot of grassroots guys, drifters. We're all bummy dudes, anyways. So we're not really interested in the whole flashy stuff. Every once in a while, if it's our own car, we love the flashy stuff. But how many times have you scrolled through and seen a really flashy video of someone else's car, and you're like, you sit there for a couple seconds, and you're like, all right, cool, I get it. You just move on. So
That's not really learning anything from that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe I could nerd out about that all day.
I'm always trying to think of new ways to like infuse our brand image with like the technical stuff, because I always thought it was just too boring. I was like, no one wants to hear about hub-centric
it's just
wheels,
slipping
like
it in.
Hub
Like
rings,
Heatwave does it really good.
Love Heatwave. Careful though, you got
sponsored by BUMZ. You know, we love BUMZ around here.
Yeah.
But their content's really good.
Yes.
Like they'll do like the packing orders, but they'll slip in informative stuff about the glasses and like stuff like that.
How strong they are and all that.
Really
stuff.
good that way.
I want to do more of that. There's like we're a pretty small team. We're nimble, but man, there's always stuff you dream of doing, and like we are proud of the how it's made video that we put out. So it is on our website.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of our process in there. You can check out like some factory shots and the wheels getting tested and how we 3D print stuff and develop wheels here, which is important for people to see if they're first coming to our brand. Like, who are these guys? Like why should I buy from them? But as long as people know that we care and we're like, really digging into the blueprints of how wheels are made and how they're made physically with like how they're casted, how the aluminum's poured in and all that. So, I see a future where we really pull back the curtain even more and rest on what we've built as like a very visual, exciting company. Yeah. But also kind of like you said, like lo-fi content, cell phone stuff. It's like probably what we talked about in the warehouse about those two different lip things. Yeah. Like, a lot of people don't know that, Yeah.
If you just had if someone was standing there with a phone recording that conversation, that would be a viral reel.
Yeah.
We've had some
viral reels just
a lot of that
putting
stuff.
our two-piece wheels together.
Yeah.
Like people have never seen like a hoop expand and then dropping it in.
Yeah.
And,
but just the way that conversation was had.
Yeah.
It was a very organic way. Like if someone that was watching it, they would have probably been thinking the questions that I was asking.
Yeah.
So if someone was just sitting there recording,
you're right.
it had good B-roll over it to match up with whatever we're talking about. Because you obviously don't want to just sit there and watch two dudes have a conversation. It's really weird.
Yeah.
But, that what was said and how it was said was the viral content. It just needed to be doctored is all.
And documented.
Yeah. There's this one reel that we did for Scotty D that was about the fuel level sender, their little laser one that they have, where it shoots a laser down to the gas, reads it that way. Yeah. It was a part of a video. They were just doing a walk around updating on the car and what parts have been added to it. And they sat there and did like a 30-second spill about what the fuel sender is and why it looks different and how it actually works, how you calibrate it. And it's like within a week, it hit 1 million views. It was absurd.
Oh.
Yeah.
Scotty's dope, man. He's a sharp dude.
Oh, yeah.
Hats off
Very
to him,
knowledgeable.
Man. With all the stuff he's developing for Mustangs and that level of CAD stuff, like I like designing wheels because it's like one thing in CAD.
Oh yeah.
Anytime
he's
you get
working with OEM stuff.
Anytime you get into
wild.
assemblies and 3D scanning, like always love what Scott was doing with like developing parts that like steer people's cars. Like shout out to him because as an engineer to engineer, like that is freaking rad. Like I love that. Yeah, I love what he's doing. So I want to see what he does next.
Definitely. All right. Well, I wanted to ask one more question on the sponsorship side of things.
Oh yeah, please.
I know we branched off a little bit.
We could spend hours on it.
There's no telling how long this podcast is, but I don't even care.
Yeah.
This is a great one. So with the sponsorships and stuff, what are the most important deliverables that you look for after someone's already gained the sponsorship?
Sure.
They've already had all the contracts or whatever is involved.
Yeah.
You know, what deliverables?
Honestly, I'm going to say forget media for a second. Communication.
Yeah.
Just hit us up, man. Like if you just be our friend. Don't leave us hanging and then show up on different wheels in a year. Like we didn't hear from you. Like media's great, a Dropbox link, a G Drive, whatever you want to send over. That's really cool, and please be consistent with that.
Right.
But if something goes wrong, hit us up. If something goes right, hit us up. Just be in communication with us, you know, like, and I'll admit, like in our early days, we were sponsoring way too many people. Like we were just trying to get our name out there. We couldn't follow up with everybody, admittedly. And I apologize to anyone out there that might have got left hanging because we were just so influxed, and it wasn't because we didn't care. It's because we just were spread too thin.
Yeah.
So don't mistake, any negligence for like a lack of gratitude, because we love anyone that like was running our wheels, and it was just like a crazy startup kind of days. We were just like sending wheels out, and we didn't get anything back from people, but it was messy. We're a new brand, and that's no excuse. But we just grew too big for our pants, like too fast. So some stuff admittedly fell through the cracks. Not fun to even say today, but there's no excuse for that. But honestly, like one thing we learned from all that was just communicate. Like, hey, this person dusted a wheel. Like it happens. Like let us get you a new one. Like don't roast us online. Like stuff happens. Like. I think a lot of times people need to remember when they're sponsored, like it's a very serious thing. Like you are an ambassador for that company, good or bad. So, I
got something to represent.
Yeah, you gotta Drift Jesus. Wow, shout out to him and his Corvette on Chrome Neos also.
Dude, yeah.
He came by here a few months ago and he said it so beautifully. Like, if I'm giving you $2,000 worth of product, you need to give me the same amount of work you would do in a regular job to make $2,000. You need to give me that same effort or time back.
Yeah.
It is really that. If he used the example, like if you're a truck driver, how long does it take for you at your truck driving job to make $2,000? What time did you wake up? What effort did you put in to make that money? It should be the same in exchange for like the product I'm giving you.
Yeah.
So I love 100%. The way he put that to me, because I was like, wow, like it shouldn't just be like run our wheels for a year and we'll see you later. It should be like that amount of work for that product should be reciprocated, whether it's in content or social media mentions if you have a notable reach. And all this should be done like when tasteful too. Like we're not the kind of brand that's like every Monday you need to post about us. Like you need to say, chew big red gum on Mondays. Like we're not going to be that.
Yeah.
We like to play it a little bit loose, but we're actually sponsoring less and less people, and we want to work more with the people that we have to like strengthen those relationships and do more with people that we have, because sometimes we just give them a very light type of deal, and they don't, they need a little bit more because they're doing more. So now what we've actually done, and I think everyone should know this in the industry, is we have like a menu that you can pick off of. If you hit us up for sponsorship, there's gold, silver, bronze. Yeah. And there's like basic ones. Like you tell us what you want to go with. Because it got so confusing when everyone's like, I need 30 wheels. And it's like, well, what are you going to do? It's like, well, I don't know. What do you want? And it's like, well, what are you going to do? And it's like this Mexican standoff of like awkwardness, And it's like, I don't know, you got 4,300 followers and you raced once last year. I don't know what you're gonna, So now I got sick of that, and I was like, just pick from the menu. If you want the gold package, here's what you want from gold. If you want to order this off the menu, it's all right here. Like you need to, you're living up to gold. Or if you don't think you can do that, just go with bronze, or go with a really, really basic package. Like the communication just at the beginning is already confusing. So we just flipped it on people. Like here, you pick, and tell us what you think you can do. And if you're not going to do it, then maybe we'll grow to one of those other ones. But I think it was the most awkward part of that whole situation was defining a package for someone. And then not hearing from them, for months afterwards. And then you see them on different wheels later. And it's like so awkward. It's like so painful. It's just like, dude, why didn't you reach out? If you're going to go with another deal, just tell us. Yeah. Just tell me. Like, if we don't talk for 12 months and your deal is up, just say, hey, like, I didn't really hear from you guys this year. These guys hit me up. They're throwing in a little bit of cash. I really need the gas money. I'm just going to go with them. Right. Because it's a small world, dude. Like, I'm going to see you again. Like, we're going to see each other at events.
They're going to go with what is going to get them back in the driver's seat. So, like I always say, they'd put a tampon ad on the side of their car if it meant getting back out there. Some people are just like, I don't care. Like, I gotta get back out there, which is fine. Which is part of racing. Which is. But very famously, I don't think I'm going out of line by saying like racers and drivers aren't always the best marketers. Absolutely.
They're drivers because they're drivers.
Terrible marketers.
They're drivers. They're not. They have real sports agents are representing people that can't speak for themselves in a meeting.
I mean, look at any automotive F1 style movie that's ever been made. It's always some awkward kid, some nerdy dude that doesn't know how to talk to people, but he can drive the hell out of a car for some reason, or a go-kart, whatever it is. And that's who ends up being the driver. But they never have to speak a word normally unless they got to go have dinner with a sponsor or something. But then your manager's right there, being your puppet master and stuff. Yeah. So I don't think people ever see that clear-sighted into motorsports entirely. Like, drivers are not the marketers. They are not. But now in this day, especially with grassroots, you kind of have to be both. You have to have a social presence. But I would say if you're a driver, that you've kind of assessed your program, where you're like, dude, I don't have an artistic bone in my body. Yeah. Like, please capped my skill level out on this.
Yeah. Like, just humble yourself up. And say, dude, my niece or my uncle or someone knows how to use Photoshop. Reach out to whoever you can.
Nowadays,
within reason.
Canva.
What?
Canva, bro.
What is
telling you, nowadays Canva. If you're trying to make a deck, just go to Canva. They have template after template after template.
There is stuff out
all sorts of stuff.
There's logo
just
makers.
Type in proposal or sponsorship in the search bar, and it'll bring up some type of template that they have. And then on top of that, they have a bunch of artists that have made all these different templates. You can just go in and barely adjust stuff. Like, dude, it may take a lot more nowadays to be that driver, but you also have 100 times more resources to make it that much easier as well.
And we want you to look good. We want to see sick proposals.
Yeah.
We want to feel good about the person we're getting involved with. Don't just send me a screenshot of the notes in your iPhone of the events you're doing this year. I'm like, what kind of events are you going to? Screenshot from notes. Come on, humor me a little bit. Throw it in there, or not just me now, our guys.
I don't even put a list. Well, I put it's a list, I guess you would say, but it's not a chronological list or anything. I'm not telling you I'm going to be at this event on this date, on this date. I'm like, no. These are the events that I've noticed seems to get a good bit of audience, has good media that comes out of it, has all of this stuff that I know would be beneficial for me and for anyone that is supporting what I'm doing as well.
We want to see that.
I'll post an image of what their previous, event page picture looked like, or their logo or whatever, and I'll just put a picture of that, events that I should be at this year. Would be very good to be at, and that's what I put. And that's it. There's no need to specify which exact event.
Don't put the test and tune events
all that
on
stuff's
there.
going to be worked out when it comes down to it.
Yeah, we just want to know you're going to stuff. We just want to know you're going to stuff and you're active. But really, like the one thing that's urge is like have some sort of creative element to your, like have a brand around your brand, like around your image, like don't just wrap your car with like these weird stripes that you picked out of the book at the vinyl shop. Like,
God,
what car?
I hate that.
I designed this new livery. It's like, dude, just a bunch of random stripes.
There's one logo in the middle of it, and it's like a very vibrant color with a bunch of lines going across it and stuff. It's like,
we want to see something that's like almost like an anti-wrap. It's like something, I don't know. It's just speaking from our perspective, but
if you want to be safe, go with the basic JDM tribal livery.
There you go.
Some type of JDM tribal livery. It looks good to damn near everybody in every company. So that's the safe bet.
It looks the coolest. Yeah. There's one thing I've learned is like we love to work with people that already have an idea of image themselves.
Yep.
If you look like you're all random and it's fun to be the weekend warrior, like badass driver that's like barely, holding it together and trying to. That is very commendable and very cool, and we have built our brand on those people. But where we are now, if we're looking for new people to add to our brand, it is all about like, does this person care about their own image first? Right. Like have some sort of visual, like use your buddy who is creative, use AI or use some website to get some sort of like vibe together, man. Like I think brands care about their image so much, and you as a driver or as a motorsports person should have a vibe, should have a brand yourself, because it just looks so much better than being Tyler so-and-so from whatever. It's like, oh man, this guy's like always black and red. Like this is kind of cool. Like, man, he got like a little vibe going here. Like that's kind of cool. Like flat black is like
every time someone sees my car, they're like, oh my God, the purple is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah. Have a little trademark. Tell a little story with it. That's another big thing too, is like have a little story to tell.
I have a story too, which I've said it on the podcast before. I mean, the purple was not my favorite color is blue.
Oh.
Nobody knows that. My favorite color is blue.
Yeah.
But the purple started all because of a steering wheel.
Oh.
The cheaper version of the steering wheel that I was going to get was on eBay. It was like $10 cheaper. Not a significant difference whatsoever. But the shipping was going to be like a week faster. Okay. Because the company was in Canada. So it was D&D Performance, if anyone knows it.
Purple and black and red and pink,
But the only color they had on eBay was black and purple.
Mm-hmm.
So I ordered that black and purple steering wheel, and then next I'm putting a purple ODI grip on my handbrake because I used to ride BMX.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing, purple seats, or I'm doing, purple, and then I put purple flake in the paint that I did, and like it just purple tint.
See, to
all
us,
the ripples effect.
As a brand that appreciates something like that, there are brands that like, I don't care, I need a drifter on our team.
Yeah.
But us, where we are now and what we've learned about sponsoring, it's like, oh yeah, that we like that approach, man. Like that stands out more. Yeah, you're not on podiums. Sorry to say. Like that's okay.
I don't care to.
That's okay.
And I will tell every single one of my sponsors up front, I'm not doing competition. I don't care to. It's not invaluable to me whatsoever.
We'd be fine with that too.
Yeah.
Because it's like really like about lifestyle. And like, are you into what you're doing? Like,
I would much rather chase the Ken Block, the Mad Mike, like aesthetic and like feel. Like even the Shanahan guys.
Yeah.
Like Connor, you don't just land a Red Bull sponsorship by being a good driver. That's not possible whatsoever. Like you have to be a personality. You have to be good at life, rather than just driving a car.
These people have cool taste, too.
Exactly. I'd much rather chase something like that.
Yeah, like with if camo is your thing, like work it in and like keep that going. Like there is cool stuff you can do visually to make yourself stand out to brands, just from like a continuity standpoint.
Yeah.
Like it is like don't put all your sponsor stickers as they are on your car. Like get all the vectors. make them all one color, work it into your wrap, you know? Like, don't just have like the red.
I can't stand when people get the sticker from the sponsor
and
then slap it on their car, and I'm like, oh my god.
Go a little step further.
Like Valino, I'm doing some stuff with Valino now using their tires, and they sent me like the door card stickers. Mm-hmm. Actually, a good point on that topic was Renegade, the fuel and oil that I use. So isn't that like a big sponsorship partnership that's hard for drivers to get, is oil and stuff like that usually?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the company for sure. I mean, but sponsorship could mean a lot of different things. It could just be like, here's 15% off. Like that could make someone really excited too. But I guess it just depends on the level, and what the company wants out of it too from drivers, because a lot of companies just have contingency programs where it's like, hey, just run our sticker and make sure you're at these events or the events you're going to say, and here's just a low discount off. Like, it's literally just a contingency program. Yeah. If you're competing in clutch kickers and you want to run our wheels and you run our sticker, you're eligible for 15 off. Not that much, but it is something. Yeah. So I think there's just a lot of different levels to that. But yeah, I would imagine like tires would be hard to get.
I've always heard tires, oil, and fuel is usually the hardest ones to really get someone to stay with you consistently.
Yeah.
And that was with Renegade, their whole aesthetic is purple. Mm-hmm. It's all purple. So how we were talking about like just the look of the car and like just being able to show that you have some type of actual stylistic input into what you're doing, that I feel like, I don't know if this is 100% true, but I feel like that was a big part of why they chose to work with me.
Yeah.
Was the purple. Like, as soon as they saw the car, it was like, okay, good car.
It's cool like that.
And it's purple. It's our exact colors. Mm-hmm. And what's funny is the first, like, reel, I didn't even post it on the podcast account. It was on my personal one. And it's just a 2-second clip as an intro of me putting gas in the car with the Renegade jug. And I've still got my helmet on because I just pulled off real quick to fill it up.
Yeah.
And one of the first 2 or 3 comments or whatever it was, oh my gosh, you have color matched fuel jugs too.
Oh yeah.
And I was not like by, it wasn't planned that way, but like that's just how it is. Like the company's, their color is purple. It just works.
Yeah.
And like they have 2 other colored jugs that they have as well, which is white and red, but they sent me purple alone because purple makes sense.
Yeah.
And like just little tiny details like that.
It makes a difference, man.
Yeah.
It also means
a lot of a difference.
Yeah. I also imagine that fuel and tire sponsors are hard to get because people need that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, those are needs.
And they know that. The companies
know that. And I'm assuming these companies are, like a tire company is a lot bigger than a wheel company.
Right.
People need tires. Your mom needs tires. Like, your tires go you don't need, last time I checked, your car leaves the dealership with 4 perfectly good wheels, too.
With 5 of them.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
With wheels that will last forever.
Yeah.
Like they're cast wheels and they're most likely made in China, but they're going to last forever. So people don't need wheels, but it is a fun purchase because it adds so much style to your car, and with drifting, it does add a lot of performance for the tire that you're trying to go for stuff. So our marketing budget is a lot different than a fuel company or a tire company, but we can still have a lot of fun with it and get the most out of our drivers. So back to your original question though, like what is the most thing we look for? Like, it is communication and then content and then just being a good ambassador for our products, like either online or, at an event too. So, but don't ever say something like, I just run them because they were free. Like, I just run them because they hooked it up. As a sponsored driver, you should say like, oh yeah, this company, I partner with them. I believe in their product. Like they've done me well. Even when I
would have never accepted the product if I didn't believe in them.
Yeah, have some standards yourself. Like don't just take anything because you're just like groveling. Because that doesn't go anywhere either. I took these wheels because I gotta get out there. Like no, you should want to have a relationship with this company and just not be a jerk about it and just like continue going on, like being a good person. So you should work with companies that you already believe in, not just because it's free. It's never free.
Dude, I mean, there's
it's
a
not
better
free.
way to say anything. Yeah, nothing's ever free.
And if you break a
Absolutely
wheel, like, just tell us. We'll get you a new one. Like, you know, and yes, drift wheels and wheels in general do break. Like, it's no secret, guys. Like, it doesn't mean we cut any corners or something. Like, you hit a K-rail, that wheel better explode.
Yeah.
I'd want the wheel to break before my subframe, my angle kit, my axles, my diff. Like, I always like to say, it's the 5 easiest bolts to get to on a car. You want to just...
That's a good way to put it.
They're right there. There's nothing in front of them.
Yeah.
It's a 19 or a 21. You know what? It's right there. That you can use the 1/2-inch impact on it. You don't have to get out the little, stubby or anything. You can just blast those lugs off, toss that wheel aside, throw in the trash.
Yep.
And just slap a new one on and get back out there. Because you don't want a wheel so strong, it's going to crumple in everything else behind it.
Yeah.
Wheels in motorsport are just a disposable tool.
100%.
I know to the stance crowd, you got them on the firm, and you work. You gotta. They're so precious, like that. But in motorsport, which we are a motorsport, leaning brand, when our wheels get dusted out there because of a dirt drop or a K-rail or wheel-to-wheel contact,
It's just more reason to put shit on the wall.
Yeah, like sign it, give it away to your people, whatever.
Yeah.
But wheels. I'll say this: wheels can break like anything else on your car.
Yeah.
Your shock can break.
What I always say is a control arm or any type of suspension arm, just one arm alone, is most likely going to cost almost, if not the same amount as that wheel.
It's another good way to look at it. Yeah, like $250.
I don't know, man. I'd rather throw away a wheel than
please. It's 5 easy bolts. You don't want to drop a subframe. You don't want to get another alignment after.
I don't want to rack relocate another subframe.
No.
Ever again.
No.
That sucked.
Especially at the track or something in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
5 bolts. Bam, 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 bam. Just throw it to the side. I mean, wheels are in motorsport. They are just tools to get you there, like everything else on your car.
It's almost consumables at that point.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. So if you see a wheel fail, it's a good thing because it did its job. It held the tire up. It did its thing. And another cool thing is a wheel can still break off a lip or get dented, and the tire still stay. If it still holds air and it breaks, we count that as a W. Because when you lose air is when you lose control.
Absolutely.
And if you can get back to the pits with a
deal with
tire,
vibration.
If that whole lip shears off, it looks so dramatic. Oh, crappy wheel, haha. Like, dude, they hit a K-rail. Like, they were like pushed into the wheel exploded. It did its job. But the driver will come back to us and say, dude, still held air. I didn't even know till I got back to the pits. I didn't even know. And dude, we take that as a W because it's a lot different when wheels are competing than when they're just stance and on the street. And yes, we want all wheels to be safe. And yes, potholes can mess up wheels. Low profile tires are not good for wheels. Adding camber.
Yep.
A wheel should not make contact with the road surface. Okay? Tires are there.
Cowboys.
Wild. Tires are there to protect the wheel and your ride. It's almost part of the suspension, And if something happens if the wheel is absorbing most of the impact, there's something else wrong in the chain. Okay? You got a tire. That's part. You got a shock with rebound and compression. All this is working together to soak up the road. Okay? It's all work. It's not the wheel's job to be a shock absorber. The shock is the shock absorber. Okay? If something happens to where part of that process gets undercut and the wheel is the thing taking the hit, things are gonna happen. It's gonna break. And like I said earlier, you don't want some bulletproof wheel. A, it's gonna be heavy. But B, you're gonna mess up other stuff on your car that you could crack, a spring bucket weld or something, you could, if it is that type of suspension. But People always get so caught up in broken wheels, and it's 99% of the time taken out of context. It's a screenshot that ends up on a meme page and said, "This is why you don't buy reps." But like, dude, that person got smashed. End. So anyway,
zoom out a little bit. The whole car is destroyed.
Literally, it was cropped like maliciously. But anyway, what I'll say is like in motorsport, especially when people are sponsored on wheels and they break, probably just hit us up. And I'm not gonna say probably. Definitely hit us up. We'll get you a new one. But it's also not good to brag about a broken wheel either, or any broken product if you're a representative, because we all remember that Ken Block picture where he held up the broken wheel and he was like, he was on 1552 tarmacs at the time, but he made it kind of cool and like it's like smashing a guitar, or something like on stage. It's like it is cool. It is rock and roll to like break something while you're doing something even more.
Man made
epic,
it, man can break it.
Yeah.
So that's just everything.
But I will say this, as a person that represents a company, a brand, it's not cool to the brand because that picture gets taken out of context and goes in the wrong places. So when you're representing a company and you do something really, maybe it is a sick story. Like, oh man, like I was going 80 and I freaking, what X, Y, and Z, and you want to autograph it and you want to do a raffle on your IG because it's so cool. You're feeling like Ken Block, you're feeling so cool. Think about the company that's if you bought the wheels outright, you do whatever you want. But if you're representing a company and you're showing off a broken, no one's going to read the story. They're just going to see a broken wheel.
They'll see the picture.
They'll see the picture and go, crap, crap. And there's always a story. If it is on us, we'll take the blame. We'll get you a new one. But if it is on you, we'll still get you a new one. But that's part of having a relationship with a sponsor is like, dude, call me up on Monday after the event and be like, dude, you're not going to believe this, All this crazy stuff happened, still held there, still made it back to the pits, and love your product even more. Like, wow, I thought this thing was dusted. I thought this thing was exploded. But, stuff's going to happen out there. But
that's so sick.
We are the brand that wants to stand behind what we do and how we go about it and how we grow and how we have done things. So we are real dudes here trying, making every conscious decision to make the best wheels for our price point and our fans and our future customers. Not trying to trick anybody. We are a real brand. You know? Take it however you want it, And if you don't like our wheels, buy something else. There's a lot of companies out there.
Oh yeah, you got plenty to choose from.
With every decision we make, the shirts we're wearing today, we chose them from a brand. You're not wearing a Reebok shirt today for a reason. Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. That's not me.
I don't remember the last thing I owned that was Reebok.
There's so many. Buy the crap you like.
Yeah.
But but it is fun, I guess, to poke brands. But that's poke fun at brands that you don't like that are not doing things the way you would want them to do. Yeah. You start your own brand. It's freaking Instagram and Alibaba and AI. Make yourself a logo. You do it then. But if you're not feeling a certain brand because of their designs look a certain way, or they represent themselves in a certain way, or where they're made, move on, man.
Congrats.
Get the ones you want.
You don't get to run them. You don't have to now.
Get the ones you want, yeah. But if your buddy's running them,
perks of being in a free country.
Yeah, do whatever you want, man. But we're here to stay, and we're part of something a lot bigger too. But we are small, nimble, but we do care, and we just really want people to dig our stuff. And we got a long way to go too, man. We got some really cool stuff coming up that you guys are going to see pretty soon. But we've had an awesome first couple of years. I want to ask you about
some of that stuff. That we might be able to share. I don't know. But one thing I wanted to touch on before that, the LZ World Tour trophies. Who came up with that idea? Yeah. Those are so sick.
Well, we sponsored the event last year. We came on really late. But we had some really good talks with Adam's team about how to get involved at a very low level, like very humble, low level sponsorship. Shout out to the guys over there for helping us make it work on kind of a tight timeline. Well, we got in, and one of the ideas from their side was, we have Vibrant has this throne of exhaust mufflers and exhaust pipes. I don't know if you've seen it, but they bring out this throne and it's like a photo op kind of thing, very cool. And they're like, what could you guys do as like a creative, product tie-in.
Yeah.
And one of the guys on Adam's side was like, how about you guys like do trophies like out of like wheels or something, you know, would that be cool? And I was like, yeah, that would be cool. We couldn't get it together the first year we sponsored them. We just could not, like, it was, we only sponsored 2 of the last rounds last year. We got on really late, like on board. Shout out to Duarte from Drift HQ for getting us an opportunity there.
Nice.
Drift HQ is incredible. They helped us out like a ton. But so Duarte got us in, and we kind of worked out a last minute deal. We couldn't do the trophies the way I wanted to do them last year. And I was like, well, shoot, so we signed on again for this year. Very fortunately, we're loving the partnership. It's been incredible. But yeah,
it's awesome.
I had made trophies a very, very long time ago for a show in Virginia Beach, Springfest.
Okay.
And I definitely stole the idea from the first class fitment trophies in New Jersey, in Princeton, New Jersey.
Gotcha.
CCW was sponsor. Shout out to Dave and Christian at Can I Beat for their awesome show they ran for 10 years up there. But there was a half a wheel cut in half, a CCW center on a piece of plywood. And I was like, oh, that's super cool. That's you know, I think Dave and his dad worked really hard with the router, and they made the wooden stands themselves. It was really cool. I always thought wheel trophies were cool.
Yeah. And
then when the opportunity came around to do the ones for the LZ World Tour, I was like, well, we got a bunch of wheels. My first instinct was to get forged centers cut and do that whole thing again. Mm-hmm. But we're not really pushing the forged stuff right now, and it didn't make sense to put that out there.
Right.
So we just decided to cut the cast flow form wheels that we have, cut the centers off, and then my whole idea was just going to be you just hold the wheel up. You just hold the same wheels every time, and we just take them back every time. And definitely a lame idea looking back. I think we had a meeting in here, and I think one of our guys here was like, yeah, but shouldn't it be on a stand? How good is someone display that, you know?
Yeah.
So I catted up a.
Think about the photo ops afterwards.
Yeah. It needs a plaque on it. It needs a real trophy shop to make a laser engraved
nice.
Like what you see on a real trophy or plaque. So I quickly ran back to my computer and made a sheet metal blueprint for a bending a sheet metal guide to bend us up basically 5 holes for the lugs and this wide base so it could be on a tabletop and display nicely.
Yeah.
And we work really good with a fabricator named Matt Hunt, who has a legendary Supra. You should look him up, Hunt for Speed. He's just a total Supra OG.
I've seen
but he helped me fabricate up these bases. We got a bunch of them made, all powder-coated black, all done the same way. And then I got a bunch of our wheels cut here. We sent them out to get polished, ceramic polished, which is where they put it in that big vibrating beads. So we got them to look mirrored, and then we powder coated them gold, silver, bronze. And then, it kind of came together really fast. And I worked super hard on the first ones. I really broke my back and went to Home Depot a million times. I went to the fastener warehouse over here. I got anodized washers and really nice cap machine screws, and did them hardware. The hardware alone on each one is $50 and just nuts.
Oh my God.
Anodized washers. So wow. Yeah, it went so fast and so crazy. Powder coater was late. The event was the next day. I drove them up there myself. This was their first event in California this year. They did Bakersfield. Anyway, I had to drive them up the next day myself. I went in these janky Home Depot boxes that they were moving boxes, but I cut the top off and anyway. I was so in the weeds on making these trophies right that I didn't even think to what the after effect would be, you know. Yeah. And then they brought them out, and man, they were a hit. It was super cool to see how well they were, and they were our actual wheel and
what size is the wheel?
They're just all 18-inch.
They're all 18?
Yeah, so we just cut right
big.
behind the spokes. We cut the barrels off right behind the spokes, And the first ones we did, we didn't cut enough off, so it was still like super heavy and like awkward. So went back and redid them. But very proud of the trophies. Now the guys help me put them. Like Josh helps me put them together now. We kind of got like a little flow going. But yeah, that was just a really creative idea that kind of was like a hybrid between our abilities and someone, Adam's team recommending it. Yeah. And we just kind of ran with it. And I was like, this is a great way to get, we were already stoked to be a partner on the World Tour because we had so many drivers in it that were already running our stuff. And it was like,
I'd really love to drive one of those one day. I don't even care about the competition aspect of it. I just like
it is epic.
It's becoming one of those events that's like that FOMO factor of it. It really hits hard. Like Final Bout is one of those ones that you work towards. Like until that one day you finally go and you're like, fuck yes, I made it. I don't even. Whatever comes after, if I ever come back to another one, I don't even care. I made it finally.
It's cool to see the people that keep the door card, like the door sticker, on, like in the windshield banners. Like they're so proud that they ran in that event that they like keep that on. It's kind of cool. But
absolutely
epic event. Can't say anything better about Adam's team or like working with Drift HQ, and they just really took us in with open arms and.
It's awesome.
I can't wait to see what they do next with the tour, but that event has just really exploded because the Pro-Am stuff is still rad, It still has that clutch kickers essence to it, You got FD guys going up against YouTubers who can still wheel their ass off.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
The fantasy battles.
Yeah, like Jimmy Oaks is not an FD driver per se. I mean, he can wheel like with the best of them. It's super fun to watch, but it's that like hybrid of all that coming together. So it has that clutch kickers vibe. That's why I wanted to be a part of the LZ World Tour, because I saw that like that really cool melting pot of like drivers and media and knowing a lot of people that were already like sponsoring, media. I should say, the people that were already doing it. So love making those trophies. We're gonna do a different wheel design every time this year. So we did a K&P, we did a tandem. And the two more are coming.
That's
so
smart.
You'll see those. Get the most visibility. Yeah, man.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you for asking about that. That's very recent development, but we're super proud of it.
Yeah. I noticed them at the first time I saw them at the World Tour, and I was like, wow, that's fucking sick. Those are smart. Cool. What the hell?
I thankfully they suggested that because I was like, man, we're just happy to be part of it. We're just happy to be on all the media.
It's cool to see. Because like Mid-Pond, the Spring Break Bash, they have like their little mini comp thing. It's nothing special, but they do custom jack stands.
Oh, yeah. See, that kind of stuff is cool.
And then one of the dudes does hydraulic work. So next year they're going to be doing a full jack. Custom making a full jack and giving that as first place. I was like, that's fucking cool, dude.
Yeah.
Keep thinking of ideas like that. That's smart.
Yeah. We had a few other, like this wheel stand right here behind me is like a tripod.
I want stand. One myself after seeing it.
People hit us up for that, Now people hit us up for those trophies, or I'm like, only the LZ World Tour is getting that trophy. Yeah. Like we'll think of something else, but like, or any other series we work with, but like it's cool to have like exclusive stuff. That's like awesome. That. So yeah, we just get to. I'm the CAD guy, so if it's like a need for something, I'm like, it'd be kind of, because I was always taking pictures of the wheels at this angle. I love taking pictures of wheels at a 45, right? This might be a 35, but the way the light hits it and stuff, it's always very intentional because wheels straight on, and I don't know. I always felt like they needed to catch a little light to show their profile and stuff. But
even if I'm shooting a wheel straight on, the angle goes down a little bit.
Yeah. So
of it. So
we made these for SEMA a long time ago. We get to dream up cool shit here and just like find a fabricator to help us work it out. So man.
What are y'all dreaming up now? What's the next?
We got a new wheel coming.
Okay.
Yeah. And it'll hopefully we work really hard working with our best factory. They do a lot of high-end wheels already for other brands I cannot mention, but it's a very trusted.
Gotcha.
We've been using them for a long time now, so they've crushed it on the development with us. Like we did a lot of tweaking to this one. Like we really took our time to get this one right. So we are launching our 7th wheel on hopefully Black Friday. So
Nice.
we always try to launch a wheel.
Can I
on
sneak a
Black
look
Friday.
of it?
You will see one before we leave.
Sorry, you don't get to yet.
You will fully see it. We always try and launch a wheel on Black Friday, which is pretty wild, but it
That's
lets you
so
get a
cool.
brand new model at a discount. So it adds a lot of hype to the to
Yeah.
that time of the year. So
And if you didn't know that, now you know that.
yeah.
Look for one on Black Friday. Now you have to stick to that.
We have to. Yeah, it's very and it gets a lot of a new content back fast. You know, like the new product gets out there, so it's kind of a cool little method to our madness. But
Okay.
so yeah, we have a new wheel coming. We have a lot of cool drivers we're going to start working with coming up that I can't mention yet. And media-wise too, all that stuff that I was telling you about, like a little more behind the scenes, a little more technical. We want to offer that to people too to get a kind of a peek into what we have going on here. So just, your platform has really helped us out, like working with you on a sponsorship level and this, you having the wheel up in the corner. But definitely want to use like a platform like yours. Just not only
that was my idea, by the way. The KMP.
It was your idea.
I want to
Josh
point that
told
out
me,
because you were talking about that earlier. How like you drivers hit you up and like they don't even ball. I don't know. What do you want? Well, it's a fucking spitball some shit. Like
throw some stuff out there.
You already understand. You got 3 cameras to work with, and you want them to at least be seen in 2 of them.
Yeah.
Then that's pretty easy. You got the main cam that shows everything and 1 camera on whoever it is. Now, if you put one up in the wall right here, like maybe a little bit of it will get caught for the short form videos, and then but the whole thing will be caught in the long form. Like it goes
a long way, dude. Because it reminds me of Josiah also was trying to renew his sponsorship with us, and his like follow-up proposal was so cool because he was like, if you look back at my stats, he's really good with his hashtags and his tagging. Like 93% of my posts last year either had your product or I was wearing your shirt or your hat or something. Like you had these really cool stats where it was like, I either tagged, mentioned you, or you were just in the background. You were in X amount of percent of my content last year.
I wonder how
free game right here. This is free game. Sorry,
that data. Sorry if you don't want this known.
But this is free game podcast right here. But that is very, very, very cool. But I think it'll just help people out. I don't think he minds that.
Well, it's gonna be at the end of the podcast anyway.
Yeah, if you made it this far,
you deserve the info.
But if you're renewing a sponsorship, reminding that company, hey, I wore your shirt at 10 out of the 12 events last year. Like, throw that in. That's pretty dope. Yeah. So, we're still doing some more stuff with LZ World Tour. We got 2 more events this year. A bunch of FD stuff happening. One thing that I want to touch on that is really cool that we want to start doing is open houses.
Oh, yeah.
So another way to kind of peek behind the curtain. So Z Drives, Zendara.
She's been growing like crazy.
She's crushing it. She's epic. She's really easy to work with. Very professional, very fun.
Yeah.
She had this idea for a Women's Day that we sponsor her. So we said we would help fund an open house here with food and coffee. And it was me standing up there with the big screen TV, giving my whole spiel about how wheels are developed and all that fun stuff to women only.
Shit. Yeah.
So she curated a list of 30 women who had interest in cars or drifting and wanted to learn more about wheels. It was invite only.
Yeah.
We had, we had Liquid Death water here, and we had really cool, curated event. We had Laura Rose doing photography here, and Mark Shotwell doing media. And it was a very ambitious event because I was hosting it pretty much by myself. I was doing my song and dance, and I was doing the warehouse tour, kind of like how we did.
Right.
And people came away from that so stoked on our brand because it was like an invite-only open house kind of thing. And it was Z's idea. Like I would have never done this on my own. But I want to do that again.
But to a bigger scale, kind of?
Yeah, but maybe just have it be like a limited entry because I can't entertain 100 people myself.
Only so much you can do here with parking.
And we're in this. We're going to be in this. We were in this room, so you can imagine this room would fill up pretty quick. Yeah. But that would be something I would love to do more of.
Okay.
Was take her idea and then I don't know, open it up to a raffle, whoever's local, but that would be a really cool way to work more with the community, let them see what we're all about.
Yeah.
How many wheels get developed here, you know, from the steel to the high end to the trailer. Just get a whole picture of our brand and learn a little bit more about the difference between flow form and forged and cast and gravity, low pressure, and all that stuff. So that's another thing we want to dabble into too. So if you want to come and see us and you know, see a wheel factory, essentially.
Well, drop a comment and
we want to
physically let him know. Yeah.
So that's another thing we are working on too. So
cool.
Yeah, just putting more face to the brand, being more involved, and going to more shows too, like grassroots, big and small. So you'll see us out there.
Sweet. That's awesome. All right. Well, I guess last few questions that I do in every single podcast.
Yeah.
So if you were to build a seat time car right now, what would you go on Injuku and get parts wise to make it the best seat time?
To drift, right?
To drift.
To drift.
Yeah.
Man. I'm going to go rogue.
Okay.
And this is because of where my heart's at.
Oh, what car too?
Yeah. So where my heart's at, I would think it would be fun to do a drift S2000.
Really?
Yeah. I used to have an S2000, but it was very Honda boy, like Advan, you know.
Yeah. Well, Josiah's got a kit
JDM.
for it now. I think.
I
don't know if it's on the market yet, but it's...
you know, you do a K swap for sure.
Oh yeah.
You know, and then I just love the way they look. They're such fun cars. The convertible is awesome.
You follow Justin Medina's.
He has one,
kind
right?
of car, yeah.
Yeah.
The
I've
green
only
one?
seen that other. I didn't know his name, but there's only one other one out there that I've seen.
Yeah.
You throw a cool kit on it. And there's one other guy too. I think he's in Chicago who has a Drift S2000. Really? It might even have like spoon fenders on it or something.
I know there's a dude out in Europe.
I know people are screaming at their phones right now.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, drop them in the comments if you know. But I would, you know, I would do that. I'd have to throw the Fortune coils on it because, you know, I used to work there. It's the home team right there.
I feel you.
Grip Royal wheel, obviously.
Nice. Yep, absolutely.
Man, I want to say a Mugen shift knob because I'm just such a Honda guy at heart, but I don't think Injuku carries any Mugen parts. But, you know, you got to have like a sick shift knob and I've a handbrake, obviously. I don't know what brand I would do, but since Chase Bays has such an amazing turtleneck, I'd probably have to go.
They got the 24 karat gold one, man. If you want to be flossy,
I'd have fun with it. I'd probably go all black on everything just to be like.
That's kind of how I am,
simple.
especially engine bays and like interior and stuff. I like.
But I know I'll never get tired of it. You know, like other stuff I buy that's like a crazy color, and I'm like, oh, it'd be fun to get the green one. I'm like, I'm kind of over it now.
When I did my angle kit, it was the same thing. I was like, I mean, I've seen people do the flashy, like, bright pink on an angle kit or whatever.
It's fun.
I'm like, yeah, it's cool, but I don't want it to take away from the wheel.
Yeah.
To me, the wheel is the prize piece.
Yeah.
So if everything behind it is so extravagant and like wild, it's going to take away from the way the wheel looks on the car.
I would also on exhaust. I'd do an Apexy exhaust because I had one back in the day, and I just am nostalgic for that. So anything with an angled muffler, I'd be down with that, you know. But I'd want to go rogue, you know. It sounds easy to say 350, 370,
of
this
course.
and that. Our wheels obviously need to go on there.
Yeah, gotta have a gun.
So,
which one would you put on?
The new
on
one.
S2000 though.
The new one.
Oh, okay, so they won't even know yet.
Yeah, I think that would.
If the new one wasn't an option, that way it can be a little bit more relatable.
KMP.
KMP,
because it's my story.
Good choice.
You know, it's
Good choice,
my thing. But yeah, that's a good question though. But and it'd be cool to have it set up as like a drift setup and a grip setup. So you can still like carve the canyons with it and like still like get down. But maybe there's a way you can do both. I don't know. But I want another. I'm a Honda guy at heart, so I just want an S2000 again in some capacity. So
nice. Okay. Then let's do your best piece of advice to anyone just getting into drifting.
getting into drifting. Take it easy. Just take it slow. Be humble. I remember the first time I tried drifting in my IS 300, flew right in that tire wall. You know, had to be, and I had someone in the car.
That's what you mean by slow. Okay.
Yeah. Like,
I was down a different
easy.
path there. I don't know.
Because, you know, by the time you start trying to drift, you've already been driving on the street. Like, you are a licensed driver. You got your license in high school. You're stopping at stop signs.
For most people.
Yeah.
Most people. There's some, like, 14-year-olds
There's some
out there,
sim
big
legends
ballers
and
that
stuff.
are...
Yeah. But, yeah, so I would say take it easy. You know, like, I love the people that say just get the basics, get those parts on there.
KISS method.
Yes, keep it easy. I had IS 300 all completely stock.
Nice.
Coilovers, wheels, and tires.
Yep.
And I went to that drift event down in North Carolina, flew right in that tire wall, took that front bumper off for the rest of the day, and then just worked on one corner at a time. Yep. I never got it. I was horrible. I was straight up just awful, horrible, like just embarrassing, you know?
Yeah.
But you're just so wired for pedestrian driving. You don't know like where to look. You're trying to look like where the car is going. Like you're on the street. Like you're looking for the granny crossing the street. Like there's no granny. Okay, there's no one coming. Just look
out. A cone out there. I don't know what you're talking about.
Look out your window. Like you're like So it's really hard to, if you are a person at this, you know, skill. Like if you've been pedestrian driving and then you get into track driving, it's hard to unwire yourself from like being a street driver because you're so, you know, you're looking where you're going. So. But I will say, humble yourself up and just go slow, take it easy, mess up a bunch, you know, don't get too emotionally attached to your car. Like I was drifting in my daily driver. Bold. Not a good idea.
Bold.
I thought I was cool back then. I was like, oh, I'm going to drive to school on Monday with the buddy club seat in my car. And it was cool. Like, it was rad. But, yeah, definitely devote a car just to that. So if it gets banged up, put it off to the side, but just have fun with it, you know?
Absolutely.
Be open. Like any new sport or skill you're trying to learn, you're always going to look back. After you've done it a few years, you want to be able to look back and laugh like at those first years. Well, I don't care if you're into running or karate or whatever. You want to go back and be like, oh God, I was that loser. What the hell? I was holding the golf club all wrong. I was like squeezing my thumb in there. Like, you want to look back and be like, oh God, like no one wants to start off being like, I was so dialed. I had all the most expensive gear and I had this and that. And it's like, that doesn't make good stories, you know? It's funny when you're like, dude, my freaking boot wasn't even tied. Like I was so excited to get out there, you know, whatever sport it is, you know, use your imagination, but just have fun with it and have some good friends that want to push you along too. You know, guys that are better than you and guys that are not. Like, I remember getting into snowboarding when I was younger, and I had guys that were just way better than me that I was trying to keep up with, and that was like
mentors,
very motivating.
The best things ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's what I'll say about that. I had a very short drift career, but that is what I did. That is what I took from that. So, yeah,
good. Well, last one is, if you had the opportunity to speak to the entire world, what would your one message be?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow, that's heavy duty. Wow, this is like about our brand or just about anything?
Just anything. Life in general. Just whatever.
Wow.
I don't think that stuff is spread enough online.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm trying to think of like the coolest thing to say, but one thing I've been thinking about a lot about recently is like we're all on the same clock in a way.
Okay.
Like every minute that passes is passing for you, it's passing for a baby, it's passing for your parents getting older. Like we're all like it's all moving like the same direction. Yeah. So just like enjoy every moment because you know it's just good or bad. So a lot of stuff's gonna happen, but like we're all our skin is all aging at the same rate. No one's aging less than you. Like, you don't get too caught up in the past. Like, we're all growing at the same time. So it's all continuously changing, and no one's...
That's awesome.
Just because someone younger than you is crushing it, killing it, and you're, like, secretly jealous or something, it's like, you had your time, they have, like, everyone's on their... Everyone, every minute, every second passes the same time.
Yeah.
For everybody, so
that's good advice, dude. I like that one.
Just slow it down, because we're all. It sounds kind of morbid, like we're all in the same clock. It's not like true. It's not like that. Like, yeah, we are all in like decaying meat suits, whatever you want to say it. But just know that the same amount of time that passed for you passes for Beyonce, passes for Elvis. It's all the same. So, just enjoy it.
The way I always
all.
explain to get past that too is it's on a scale, like a positivity scale. So I always ask people, like, what's the opposite of positive? Everyone's gonna say negative.
Sure, yeah.
To me, I don't see it as negative. I think neutral is the opposite of both negative and positive.
Yes, sure.
So if you figure out a way to just neutralize every situation, say your house burns down, you just be like, you could freak out. Like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? My bed's gone. I have no roof over my family's heads, and like, where are we gonna sleep tonight? Blah blah blah. Or you could be like, well, I have been looking at this one property for years now. With the insurance money that I'll collect from this, I could go buy that, and I still have enough money right now to go buy a hotel for a couple weeks if we need to. Like, just figuring out a way. Everything's a mindset shift. It's all mindset stuff. That's all it is.
Another cool trick to get around that is, like, you can freak out, but the same amount of time you spent freaking out, you need to be optimistic as well.
Yeah.
Like, you're giving yourself too much downtime. You can't freak out this much and then only be excited this much. Like, to balance that out, and a mind trick, you have to think the same amount both ways. Like, if you have going to the dentist tomorrow, get your teeth drilled, you're nervous. Like, oh my God, this is gonna be. I don't want it. I don't know. They're gonna be in my mouth. Like, at the same time, my tooth's gonna be better. I'm gonna eat better after this.
But also remember, it takes less time to be positive.
Yeah.
It takes way more time to be negative about something than it does to be positive.
It's crazy, yeah. It's crazy how the mind, because like we were talking about comments earlier, it's like your mind is trained to look for threats. Like if you're like a primitive person, like looking at the plains for like a lion, like your mind is trained to look at patterns and look at threats. So
our nature used to be survival.
Yeah.
Now that's not the case anymore.
So when everything is good, all the grass is growing, and there's a lion there, you don't even notice all the healthy green grass growing. You're going straight to the negative. So like in the early days of Kansei, when I was reading the comments, like, man, those negative ones, they hurt, man. They were like Velcro, and everything else was like Teflon. Just like the good comments just slid right off, And I still remember some now that like just burn me to this day, and it sucks. But like, Teflon, Velcro, man, it's a crazy principle. But you're just so, I don't think the human mind is supposed to look at that many comments about something personal.
No, we're not supposed to be subjected to as much negative stuff as we are on a daily basis. That's all our
like
content
a fire
is.
hose
Half
to
the time
the face,
is negative.
dude.
That's why I asked that question.
Yeah.
The majority of content nowadays is whether it's not you personally, it's something negative about someone or something that's happening. So it's like, if it takes 5 seconds for me to ask one positive question, I'll do that in every single one. I don't care.
Yeah. So I think that's very important, and it's also important to talk about how like negative things can affect you. Because you bottle that stuff up, it's not good.
Absolutely.
Like you should diffuse it and like play it out in your mind or with a buddy or something. Be like, dude, so and so said this about me online, and your buddy be like, make a joke out of it. Like, yeah, dude, like the other day, you did stink. Like, you literally, like, did you put deodorant on that day? Like, dude, like, laugh it off or something, Like, but I think it's important to just, like...
He who cares the least wins the most.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, it's tough, like, as you know, putting yourself out there with a brand and an image, and you have to curate comments. Like, you have to respond to comments for engagement, sadly enough. But I always remember, like, the scene in one of the Batman movies where it's Morgan Freeman and there's all those screens. I think it was The Dark Knight, and it was like everyone's phone or watch was tapped into, and you could like hear what they were saying. Anyways, it's like big wall of screens of like listening in to everyone, and that's how Batman like found where the Joker was or whatever. But they turned it off because they're like, you're not meant to see this much at once, you know, like, and that's how I feel sometimes looking at social media. It's like, okay, the human mind is not meant to see this wall of TVs of everyone's problems or highlight reels. It's even worse.
Our brains haven't adapted.
You don't see any of the humble people because they're not posting.
Yeah.
If you're posting online, you are...
Then you curate this whole image of the entire planet. Just everything's negative.
You're only seeing the people that are putting themselves out there who probably have less a degree. I mean, there are some very humble personalities online, but like deep down humble or introverted people are not putting themselves out there. So all you're consuming is people that are putting themselves out there, and you think you should be putting yourself out there when you probably aren't, you know, into that. You know, so it's a very weird world we're living in, where it's like, well, I should be posting which
I would say
sandwich
actually,
I got.
A lot of the bigger known creators are very introverted when it comes down to it. So like, it's a weird balance. I don't know.
I won't get it.
It's crazy.
But I would like to get our brand out there a little bit more, and I would like to be a little more like involved with like, you know, me like involved with pushing the brand more. I think it'd just be cool.
Absolutely.
Right? In a professional way. I'm not vlogging what I'm gonna eat, and I'm not gonna vlog, but I think like each brand could like benefit from a personality to it.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure there's a lot of stuff on a daily basis
tasteful
that you
too,
do that would be really
we do a lot
good
of cool
content.
stuff here. We do a lot. We just don't record it. Like, we are in a very vibrant, cool office where we have a 3D printer, and we're doing like, we have very cool, like, you know, even celebrities come by here, you know, and we don't film any of it, but we're here and we're doing cool stuff. But it's just all a matter of what you have the capacity to put out, you know.
Oh yeah, I get that. But all right, well, I guess, do you want to shout anyone out, shout yourself out, or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean,
Towards the end now.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure being on the pod. I've been looking forward to this for a while, so I'm very fortunate that you were able to come out here and do this with us. And shout out to, I guess I would say, my wife and my kids. They are epic. They are awesome. They keep me going and help me balance out work and life. I'll say shout out to James and Josh, who work here with me, Nick up in Oregon, and Vicente for sure for doing all of our media. He's just crushing it. And yeah, man, it's a fun ride. So we can't wait to see where it kind of ends up. And we're definitely not doing it alone. Like, it's not just me. I'm not the grinding entrepreneur some people want to be. I'm just a creative dude who loves cars and has enough engineering know-how to get some cool ideas out there. But I would say just, you know, follow your dreams and stick with it, because you never know what could happen if you just are all in on an idea and not all in on the results of an idea that could benefit you. Like, I was all about just like, it'd be cool to see my ideas on cars. It'd be cool. That's all I would want. You know, it wasn't about like, I'm going to make all this money and I'm going to go on these crazy vacations. It was not that. It was just like head down, like unabashedly going to machine shops going, you can cut this, right? I got the file. And they're like, you have no radiuses on this part. You have like, you can't have 90 degree, like you.
This doesn't work.
But I was going around to literally hole in the wall machine shops with my little blueprints, going, yeah, cut this out, you know. But it's that, you know, just blind passion that just will take you places, you know. Like literally door to door to grungy machine shops that make parts no bigger than 2 inches, and go into them with an 18-inch wheel and go like, yeah, you guys cut this here, right? You know, like, no. So just be open and just.
We wouldn't even have the first clue.
Yeah, but it's fun when you look back. Like I said, you look back and you're like, wow, I was way off, you know? Like, have those stories and just be open and just stay in it. Have a day job. Keep yourself funded. Don't fall for this, you know, you got to grind and have a stock crypto thing on the side, and sell knives and all this. Like, don't do stuff you don't want to do. And just stick to, if you're trying to grow something, to stick to it and enjoy it and just be unabashedly just into it, and just and live it, so that when people think of you, they think of the thing you're trying to create. Put it out there. So like I said, my Instagram page back in the day was fake it till you make it, because I wanted people, when they thought of me, oh yeah, he does wheel stuff. Yeah, I've seen him post that stuff. Yeah. Don't just, I don't know, don't just, if you're trying to put a creative thing out there, even if you're not getting paid, put it out there. Mm-hmm. Make do photo shoots of your friends for free, and say it's a modeling shoot. Just put it out there. Doesn't have to. You don't have to be. And you're not lying. You're just.
Yeah. Whenever I started doing product videos, that's exactly what I did. I made you guys a product video.
That's right.
Just out of nowhere. Yeah. But I had the wheel there. It was at my disposal. Like, might as well. I'm trying to learn some shit too. So
it goes a long way, man.
Yeah.
It really does. And especially in the creative field too. But like, if you're trying to be known for something, just start doing it for free. And you'll figure it out later. Have that day job to keep you going, or whatever it is that you don't like. I was cleaning boilers, in college, and but still, I'd go home, get on that CAD software, and put wheels up on my IG, and I just wanted to be known as that. So,
hell yeah,
just don't be afraid to don't think you need to make money right away at your thing because you want to be a boss or a IG, entrepreneur, Wolf of Wall Street, meme reposter, like that ain't it, like the people that are really crushing it in certain industries aren't posting screenshots from Wolf of Wall Street saying, this is how I wake up at 4:30 and I start grinding. Like, people that are really doing it, like, aren't into that,
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
Stop idolizing, movies that have nothing to do with even your core values. Like, Jordan Belfort was a scam artist. Like, he scammed people out of money. He's not some saint of economics. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Some people's kids.
Yeah, man.
But all right. Well, I want to say I appreciate it. Thank you guys for helping me come out here and let me take up some of the time you guys got going on during a business day. So I really appreciate it.
It's worth it. I know. I love seeing how the pod has grown. And
I've got
really cool.
a shitload of ideas. I got a big one for Japan that would take a lot of work to make happen, but I think it's something that's never truly been done before.
Oh,
that I think would be very interesting.
Speaking of Japan, I do want to shout out one more person, Grant Anderson. Shout out to Grant.
What a guy. What a guy.
He put me on my first Japan trip, and it just completely skyrocketed our brand, overnight. So I really wanted to go there, and he laid it all out for me, and I met up with him, Rich Whiteman, Kane, bunch of really rad, Anthony, bunch of really rad dudes in Japan. And I did not drift out there at all, but I brought wheels out there and we made a bunch of content. And it was really like a solidifying aspect of our brand. So shout out to Grant for putting me on to Japan like that, because it was awesome
hit Grant up for the connections and stuff.
Yeah, hit me. Now I know. Now I'm passing it on, because I'm going to do that trip again one day. And man, it was epic. So if you're thinking about going to Japan, it's not that hard. Not hard. It's epic.
That's what Mike from Bellino said too. He kind of gave me a little spill on.
Mm-hmm. Just buy that plane ticket. You'll be fine. Yeah. Just get that $1,000 plane ticket. It's the biggest part of it. But
I need a passport myself.
Oh, yeah.
So I got to start there. But I'll tell you the idea out after the podcast.
Off mic. Yeah.
But yeah, back to just thanks again.
This is rad.
Thank you.
If you stuck around this long, discount code. No, I'm just kidding. But
that'd be cool though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But no, you don't need a discount code. You have a chance, very free.
That's right.
Easy way to win a set of Kansei wheels.
Yes.
Of course, the Injuku credit and BC Racing coilovers, and anyone you win, you're going to get some podcast merch too. But don't forget about that.
Kansei merch too. We'll throw that in.
Yeah. So don't forget, just comment, hashtag whichever company you want to be basically in the giveaway. So if you want wheels, hashtag Kansei. If you want coilovers, hashtag BC. Injuku, if you just want Injuku money, parts money, which I know that's a lot of people.
They got an idea of what they want already.
Yeah,
so.
But you get one entry. Don't comment more than once doing that.
Oh, they will.
I'm sure you will, but I'll keep an eye on it. And thanks again to you guys too, for all of you that are watching and supporting. I really appreciate it. Look below the video, hit the subscribe button, make sure that button's not still red, hit the bell notification so you're always updated. And that's all we got for this one. So we'll see you each and every Sunday for a brand new episode. Thanks.
Thank you guys.
Peace.
Thanks.